Yo, yo.
What's going on?
What up, homie?
50-50, we get anything tomorrow.
You being gracious.
50-50, like something drops or we get something significant?
50-50, something drops at all.
I think you're being gracious. I don't think anything comes.
I think we're getting it. I think we're getting something tomorrow.
If we don't, you gonna crash out?
No, because I'm not even looking like. I'll go over some more of it, but I'm kind of like I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think this is gonna be good.
50-50, he crashes out, Desmo.
I'll buy that. I'll take those odds.
Wait, tonight might be closer up. You might want to raise that.
I'll crash out.
50-50, Mike crashes out.
100%.
Anyways.
100% Mike.
I just saw some Weinstein clips. I was like, oh my God, dude.
They pissed you off? You think they got the
He's
Weinstein?
shilling disclosure now, bro. Like, come on.
All right, so what does that mean, though?
He said he got a bunch of calls. The clips that I saw, he got a bunch of calls after the Eric Davis interview, and he's like, "Oh, I confirmed." Like one of them, he was like, I guess insinuating that one of the calls was from inside the program, or like somebody.
He said they quote unquote checked out to him, whoever it was that spoke to him. What does that mean? I don't know.
How the fuck did any of these dudes check out?
It's really just Lou Elizondo with a voice changer.
That's it.
He also said he knows what some of the UAP are, but he can't say.
He said that? I missed that.
Yeah, he said that.
Well, it's so weird because look, he's a science guy, and at one point he's like, "Well, what everybody's telling me, like that's the reason why." Rogan asked him like, "Why have you switched over?" And he's like, "Well, and then he's like, people like Brandon Fugel." I'm like, Brandon Fugel. And then he's like, yeah, like Gary Nolan, Gary Nolan, but still, it just doesn't make any sense and then at some point he's like, well, it's not anything directly that I've seen, it's just secondhand stories that I've been told.
You see how triggered he got just now, Desmond, when he said Brandon Fugel. Brandon Fugel?
He must have watched
This is the guy I DM'd to tell me to tell him to release the tape?
Watched some Skinwalker Ranch episodes. Got spooled up, man.
Skinwalker Ranch, new season drop. Woo, boys, woo!
Is anybody watching? I don't really watch it. I did watch some last season.
No, Zim is our dedicated Skinwalker Ranch watcher.
Nah, but he said his colleagues were like, oh, so you buying into aliens? And he's like, nah, I'm buying into the saps, which is the way I would go. But he said himself, he doesn't know if they're our tech. It could be our tech that they're protecting these shits. Or it could be some other shit. Who knows?
It's definitely not all our tech. There's definitely some of our tech, right? And then there's some of their tech. And I think they're protecting both.
Burleson backpedaled a little bit this week, too. I think, Astral, you posted about it.
Weinstein said whoever these people are reached out to him, Sam Smith, and Lex Friedman because there's going to be a massive disclosure.
Oh, fucking don't hold your breath.
That's what he said. I know.
It was probably years ago that he's talking about if he got that call. I don't think he's talking about anything recent.
I mean, when are people going to face facts here? UFO community, I love you. But my letter to you is this. We are not going to get disclosure in any meaningful fashion from the government. This information... everyone's like, oh, we're going to get the technology. They don't want us to get the technology, and they don't want us to, I don't know, just be freaking out over religion. And it's probably also they're scared of how the aliens are going to, we forget the aliens are out there, bro. And how are they going to react? So I think that's a big question mark.
Bro, you're going to get NASA disclosure. You heard it from me.
Yeah, Desmo, how do we get these Carl Wolf pictures? Can you go into and FOIA the archive that he's talking about? Unredacted, pre-scrub?
If you knew, I would say that if you put a broad enough request in for like all Apollo pictures from whatever mission that he's assuming that they came from, you could probably get that through FOIA. I don't think any of them is actually classified. But maybe they are. I don't know, man. But they should be unedited. Like, you should be able to get the unedited or access to the unedited film rolls and see them.
Well, I'm just saying he's an Air Force whistleblower that was murdered in killed in 2018, and said he was going to testify before Congress, but now he's dead. I think he should be looped into this whole whistleblower thing of people who need protection.
Bro, you can't cross NASA, bro. We're an intelligence agency now, bro.
That should have been the pivot, though, from the missing persons thing, is these guys who have had controversial things happen when they were about to come forward to Congress.
I don't know. How'd he die?
He got hit by a truck on a bicycle.
Did the guy who hit him, go to jail? Did he?
I think he was drunk. I think he probably went to jail.
No, I don't think he went. I don't think he was drunk. I think I don't know what happened to the dude. It was a semi truck. I don't think the guy driving the truck was drunk.
Somebody asked the robot.
Yeah,
I heard it had a Langley bumper sticker on it. Actually, is what I heard.
Here it is, fucking grider. Here we go.
He was getting that damn that microwave fucking direct energy weapon shot into his brain whenever he ran him over. Made it happen. I'd be interested to know who the dude was that ran him over and what the circumstance. Because that's the thing. This dude was going to.
You lost audio, Desmond.
audio. Yeah, your audio dropped.
Astral, are you mad at Burleson because he doesn't believe what he's seen so far?
I mean, I thought it was interesting that everybody was clipping certain parts of that video and nobody made it. He's like, the guy's like, straight up, do you believe? He's like, are you a believer? He's like, no, I'm still a skeptic. I'm like, damn. I don't know. It just is telling to me. That's all. I think so many people are getting their hopes up. And I was thinking about this. I think what this disclosure process we're being a part of right now is going to do, it's just going to get everybody to where we are quicker. And more people are going to be frustrated with everything that's going on. So people now it's in a larger public stage as this is all playing out. If I was going to predict these next tranches or whatever they're saying, it's going to be shit that we already know about, is already out there, and is also going to disappoint the general public. Because I think when you look at the politicians and how they're trying to set, to me, these people now, Luna and Burleson, they're almost trying to sell it. This is trying to be sold to me as it's important. This is important, whatever they're releasing. When in reality, we know that all the evidence that they're going to release is not going to be impactful at all.
Oh, you don't have a crystal ball. You don't know that.
No, but that's what I'm saying. This is my prediction of what's going to happen. This is to me what Burleson is kind of telling it, because Burchett was out here saying, we're going to get so good videos. We're going to get the 46 videos and all this. And Burleson's like, yeah, I've already seen them. They briefed us on it. There may be one or two good videos that aren't looking like prosaic explanation. And I think that's not going to be impressive for us, to me.
And then he straight up said some of them are birds and planes. What? Why are they releasing that? If we know what they are.
I don't give a shit. If they have them, I want to see them. I don't care if they're birds or balloons. I want to see what birds and balloons look like in these videos.
And then you got Burchett saying there's going to be disinfo in this drop. I'm like, what?
Oh, I mean, Burleson was making a point. He was saying, how they're doing it, they're just releasing what they can and out to the public. They're not giving any, explanation. So some of it might be misinformation, disinformation. Some of it might be old shit that's, you know, already been out there. They're just releasing it. So it's kind of the same thing as these congressional hearings, because it kind of this is to me one of the only ways that we can hold people accountable is if you go into a congressional hearing, just like Elizondo did and was asked about the alien hybrid program and all that, when everybody was like, oh, that's a crazy question that she asked. Like, that's pretty wild and out there. Now Elizondo's insinuating and making the hosts fucking agonize for an hour straight, where she's making all these reactions because Elizondo's like, you know, kind of like peddling this shit instead of being like, no, alien hybrid programs, I testified to it, that I don't have, you know, anything.
I was gonna say, he straight up testified under oath that he had no knowledge of it. Now he's playing the whole like, well, I can't say, but you know.
Good. Let him talk about the alien hybrid programs. I mean, if he testified that he didn't know and now he wants to say he knows, the more of a fool he makes himself look in that scenario, I don't really care. I do think people like Dan Sherman need their time on stage to come forward and say, yeah, I was part of one of these programs, very possibly.
I think with Burleson, everyone kind of leans on him for an opinion. I don't give a shit what any of these people think. Kind of want to see it for myself. I'll decide on my own. I don't care if Luna believes it's real or Birch. I don't give a fuck if none of them think this shit is real or fake. Like, just release it so I can make my own decision.
Astral, what was your take on the whole Rubik's Cube thing? Do you think they just dropped that on him right then and there?
No, I don't think so. Corbell doesn't seem like the guy who would just do that right on the spot in the middle of the public after trying to feature him for an interview. I just don't see that. Like, he just all of a sudden thought about that and did it. And he didn't know the first time ever he was going to be asked about that on stage. That just seems a little bit, I don't know. And then, again, like, we're going back to the congressional thing. Like, Dylan Borland had the opportunity to bring this forward in Congress, like, and really get an investigation going. But instead, he's doing it at some McMinnville UFO festival. And it's just like, it should be flipped around. We should be talking about these things being brought forward in Congress instead of UFO conferences.
No, why would you put that on Borland?
Because he was being asked about it.
Corbell is the one that brought it up to him, though.
Yeah, but that was bad acting, too.
He didn't really give an answer.
Did you really believe that reaction was authentic? I mean, that was like the best Razzie, supporting actor award right there. I mean, come on now.
Acting is subjective. I don't give a shit.
Would you have wanted, let me ask you this though, if Dylan Borland had known this information and this was a UFO program and he knew this at the time that he was testifying, would you have wanted him to bring that information forward?
What do we learn from Rubik's Cube? We don't know shit about, it's just a name. Has there been any details at all about what the fuck Rubik's Cube was? No.
I don't think anybody's found anything, no.
Yeah, so it don't make a difference.
I'm curious how Dylan Borland found out about it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely good luck trying to Google that, right? You're gonna spend an hour going through.
You're not gonna find shit.
Yeah.
John
like,
Greenwald tried to search for Immaculate Constellation, and they refused to give him any results or even do a search.
I mean, it's like, try to find stuff on Operation Blue Jeans. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on now.
Yeah, I don't know. Why would you set up the whole congressional hearings then in the first place if you're not going to reveal that kind of information that, if that's the legacy program or I would think that's the goal. Like, why would if you're going to be a whistleblower and you're going to try and give these SAPs or, what the information is, and you're going to work towards getting this situation where you're going in front of Congress and you're telling them this, whether or not they have gone to the ICIG and all that other process, to me, this is the public process that puts it into account for real. And I just don't know why even with Grush, when he's talking about the people who, Clapper and all these people who are, he didn't say that under oath in the Congress. And I feel like at least it would have gotten on the record so that the investigation can go forward or something.
I just have a feeling all of this stuff that we're getting, that we're like bitching about, that we don't have information on, they've all been talking about this shit behind the scenes for years. the program names, the roles, what they've been exposed to. We're not going to see that, especially if it's some kind of protected testimony behind a whistleblower complaint. All we're going to get is the crumbs.
I don't know. If it's true that they reached out to Sam Harris, he's a famous neuroscientist. You don't contact a famous top neuroscientist for nuts and bolts craft. You contact them for biologics help.
Yeah, Sam Harris already bucked this topic. If he comes out talking about UFOs now, I'll take it in consideration. But he already shunned this shit.
You heard what they said, though. Why would they contact him then, do you think? They said that on, Joe Rogan today, right?
Yeah, I think, and this is just me speculating, I don't know for sure. I think he's talking about some old phone calls. Because there was a period where Sam did talk about it, maybe one of his episodes. Same with Lex Friedman. He would be touchy-going on a lot of his UFO shit. And Eric Weinstein, we seen his progression. I think he was probably talking about an old call. If it's something more recent, yeah, that'd be interesting, but I don't know.
I mean, Weinstein talked about it last time he was on Rogan. He said they had reached out to both of them, trying to get them involved.
Yeah, his main gripe was that they never called him. He wasn't part of it, and all the people who he would consider top physicists weren't involved. So if they're now calling him, but again, I don't know, man. What could they be calling him for now that would actually have him involved in these programs when none of these guys who we would be on the inside, right?
Right.
Something psionic related, probably, right? I mean, the guy's a neurologist, right? You would think that would be what it would be about.
Who is Sam Harris?
Yeah, right. Didn't you say that he was a neurologist? He's like a neurosurgeon.
Oh, I don't know.
No, he's
I know
not
he
a
was just a
neurosurgeon.
smart guy.
What is he? I forget what he is. He's not a surgeon, though.
Neuroscientist, so you study the brain without operating on it.
Jesse Michaels just broke down that psionic stuff in an episode.
Yeah, man. I got some serious problems with that, man. First of all, there's no way that an entire special military unit, right, that an SMU got taken out, right? What basically that episode kind of admitted is that the whole Lockheed versus, JSOC special military unit, that whole incident is basically Barber's responsibility, right? That story came from Barber. And it also tells us, it's kind of more confirmation that Barber worked, or that he does work for Lockheed Martin, right? I mean,
you watched it, Strider? You watched the whole episode?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. And, but I mean, that's been stated in the past, right? But basically, it's kind of like a retelling, like Jesse goes through and tells the story. And I was listening to it. Unfortunately, I was not actually watching it, so I assume that along with the audio, there was some type of visualization, right? So probably some AI generated storytelling stuff. I don't know for a fact.
Yeah, it was good production, actually.
Audio. Yeah, and so, but just the audio, it was basically it was kind of like an audio drama, is the way that it was kind of told.
Yeah,
right?
he recounted a bunch of this stuff.
Yeah, man, it was basically Sentinels of the Ether, which is Jake Barber's, manuscript that he submitted to Dobster, and it was he was trying to kind of I guess not red team. He was trying to solicit information from Dobster because, what they classify and what they redact, tells you that, something legitimate is there in the manuscript, right? If they redact an entire page, and apparently they redacted 7 pages out of this manuscript, according to Jesse Michaels today in the episode. I hadn't heard that before. I hadn't heard that they redacted an entire 7 pages out of the 20, but that's pretty significant, right?
I did hear redaction. I didn't know how many pages.
It's a serious problem, guys. Okay, so I'm just telling you, from somebody who's been in the military, that soldiers, they don't die in the dark, right? And that's that's a saying that I'm going to start talking about a lot because it's pretty catchy, and I came up with it myself. So I'm not.
Does that mean like people that have died in the military, they publicly, their names are out there and shit? Yeah,
exactly.
Their family knows all that stuff.
Dude, there's families, there's fucking memorials, right? There's funerals. There's fucking hometown, there's hometown newspaper articles, right? There's fucking national news blurbs, it just an entire special military unit, which is means basically the top tier of special forces, right? Of special operations. That's what a special military unit is. It's
could it be, Grider? Could it be that these people have passed and we just don't know their roles or their names?
Well, I can tell you that I checked, and in 2004, there was not a single like there weren't 8 special military unit, 8 people assigned to JSOC that died during 2004. You know, that were not completely explainable, you know, that had no attached, you know, like Iraq or Afghanistan death, you know, like, I mean, basically it's bullshit, right? It's just, I just think it's bullshit. I think it's impossible for something like that to happen within the military, and for it not to be, first of all, for it not to be whistleblowing by some of the fellow, you know, by like some of the fellow team members of these special military guys, right? I mean, it's a pretty strong community, right? There's no way that they would allow, you know, this to be kind of stifled, right? There's just no way. I mean, somebody would have said something, but really the most important thing is that there's no evidence of it. There's no evidence of an entire team being wiped out anywhere in the globe during, you know, the year 2004, which is when this is alleged to have happened, right? This story
the team that got wiped out. So I just want to clarify something, because I don't think I've heard about a team getting wiped out. Where did this happen? When did this happen?
So supposedly it happened right outside of Coyame, Mexico, in 2004. Jake Barber alleges that he was a part of a crash retrieval team that we now, you know for a fact, or according to him, a fact within the story, to be Lockheed Martin, a, you know, crash retrieval team ran by Lockheed Martin that has access to directed energy weapons, the most sophisticated helicopters, that they have an underground, they have a deep underground base outside of Koyami, that this occurred, you know, not in, but, you know, right around in the airspace around, right? Supposedly jets, you know, from jets from the Air Force pursued these helicopters, and these helicopters disappeared into a mountain, and the jets ended up crashing. I mean, just a whole bunch of crazy shit that goes along with this story. But so this crash retrieval team, allegedly from Lockheed Martin, encountered this special military unit that was operating outside of Coyame, Mexico, which is like right south of Texas, right? It's like right south of like the middle part of Texas, like it's like the middle western part of Texas, right across the border. And it's just an area of just immense desert, right? It's like, you know, just nothing but desert. And, you know, they have some mountains and stuff like that, but it's a pretty desolate area. And so this, supposedly this craft crashed outside of Koyame, and these two teams, unbeknownst to each other, one team from JSOC, a special military unit under direct command of JSOC, which is the Joint Special Operations Command, which at the time was like the preeminent special operations command and control structure within the United States military, the highest tier of like assets, men, I mean, the best of the best, right? The best as far as the resources that they had at their disposal, and also you know, their direct connection to like the Secretary of Defense for doing direct action, as in, you know, their chain of command was extremely, you know, direct, right to the top, right? You know, they could come up with a mission and immediately get, you know, some type of permission from either the Secretary of Defense or higher, you know, to go on that mission, right? These are the guys that on a whim will, you know, fly out to Africa, you know, to do a direct action raid, right? This is the type of forces that we're talking about. Well, they were down there. So these two separate units, you know, one being private, you know, one being this private Lockheed Martin crash retrieval team, the other being the JSOC SMU, were converging upon this craft, and there was a shootout. And this special operations JSOC United States military servicemen team got wiped out, entirely wiped out. I think it was allegedly five service members got fucking murdered, is basically the way to put it. They got murdered. And that's how we need to talk about it.
This was different from the Jake Barber story of them trying to get this hard drive or whatever. Is that a different firefight? Okay.
Correct. Yeah, correct. That's I think the Jake Barber story with the connexes that were buried in a lake happened in the past 5 years. I want to say like 5 to 10 years. Whereas, you know, the JSOC Special Forces murder, you know, happened in 2004. But the story is fantastical. And as somebody who's been in the military, I just cannot believe it. Now, is it possible that I'm wrong? Absolutely. Because you know what? I was not a special operations. I was just a normal grunt, right? I was just a normal United States Army grunt. So do I have access to like the the highest classified information? No, I don't. So you know what? It very well could have happened. But I have really just I have severe problems with the story. I think it's fantasy. I think it's made up. And I think that people need to be really careful believing it. But that's my own opinion. So,
just heads up for everybody. Go ahead and like and share the space. We're going to keep the discussion going. We've got a remote viewing up top if you wanted to try it. There was a good remote viewing space from Mav a couple hours ago. That was cool. They had a lot of good information in there. So check that out if you haven't. We'll keep the discussion going. I was going to ask an experience. Did you take a look at the documents that the Disclosure Foundation released?
The NSA stuff? I haven't looked at any of that stuff, but I heard it's all old shit.
Bro, it was like the first 20 documents that I looked at. In big, bold parentheses, they're like, this stuff is most likely balloons. And I'm like, what the everything. So I was looking I still haven't found it. I got to go through because there's 300 pages. But all the documents I was looking at, I was like, damn, it's not really anything in there.
Nobody's posted anything good from it?
I was looking. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for the documents that showed. I think there was Russia sent something out, in response to a bunch of UAP or something. I was like, damn, I want to see that. But there was a couple cases that they were, because there was a couple articles written of it. So I'm like, oh, okay. It's kind of like preparation now. It's like batting practice for the UFO file drop. There's some new file tranches or whatever dropped every now and again. But you still have to have people dig through it. And props to, I know people like Paranormal have been going through some of the stuff and people around the community. But, there haven't been too many people posting a lot of the stuff from within the files. So we'll see this next batch. Hopefully, I just like seeing what catches everybody's eye because there's so much, information out there.
You were not for nothing, especially with the Weinstein thing, and now Neil deGrasse Tyson's shifting and totally grifting off this. As much as I can't stand that dude, and anybody in the science world that's super pompous and dismisses this stuff, we're gonna need their brains. You know what I mean? So I kind of want them to start engaging this topic and find out for themselves. And if it does become a real thing, then they're the people I want to hear from and to ask all the questions and kind of take us down the path of figuring out what the fuck is what. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson annoying ass. All we want from you is your brain to actually take this seriously and ask questions. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Amen to that, and have some humility. Don't be like, oh, now it's worth my, discussion. Admit that you, missed the boat and you were, should have looked at this sooner. Because Neil deGrasse Tyson's comments in the past, you could tell he hadn't done even basic level research on it, just saying incorrect things all the time.
Yeah, because he's like, well, show me the aliens. You know what? Show me the aliens too, motherfucker. I want to see them too. So when the alien comes out, if they roll the body out, what you gonna say then? You gonna say it's fake, or you gonna get your roll your sleeves up and start asking questions?
But that's the thing with me though, is these guys are, if you're scientifically focused, there would be nothing that has happened recently that would make you have that switch. So something else with Neil deGrasse Tyson, to me, it's his book. He's got his book coming out, so he's got to seem like his explanation is, oh, the witnesses are more credible now. The people coming forward in the public but from a scientific perspective, that doesn't even mean anything of now buying into the topic, because there hasn't been anything scientifically that's been published out there.
Which I'm not buying the whole, I think the witnesses are more credible shit, because he definitely disrespected Grush and everybody that was in that first.
Yeah, he was going at him.
Yeah, I'll tell you what changed, what made Neil deGrasse Tyson write this book. Well, obviously, right, if you come out with a book, you've been working on it for several months minimum, right? So he's been working at it undercover, in secret, without saying a word, probably while trash talking the whole topic at the same time, right? So I could tell you probably where his pivot point was. When he had, as a guest, on his Star Talk radio podcast, Dr. John Kozlowski from Arrow. It was his pivot point. I would put money on that.
Oh, shit.
You didn't hear that one, Astral?
No, I don't think I did.
I definitely didn't hear it.
Neither did I. Yeah, I think it was about 6 to 8 or 6 to 9 months ago. I think it was a while back, and it was the only interview Dr. John Klosowski did, to my knowledge, anyways, that wasn't like mainstream media. That was like a podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna peep that one.
Did anybody
Yeah,
hear
that's
the
huge,
reading?
man.
The reading he did, it was like a snippet of his book. He was basically saying, "Take me to your leader. Who would you take him to? Your president? Who would you take him to?" He said he was saying you need to take him to your scientists. You need to take him. I'm paraphrasing here. He's saying if an alien comes down, you need to take him to me. I'm your leader.
Everybody wants to be the guy to meet the aliens first.
Fuck meeting aliens. Just let me fly their spaceship, man.
Right? Take it for a spin.
I'll take that thing out, put it through its paces. I might not even come back, too.
I imagine that's how a crash, like if there was a really a crash, it would be like an alien who like is like driving the UFO for the first time, like a teenager would, and just like crashes that shit and goes into, it just does something messed up that a veteran alien wouldn't just crash on Earth. It'd have to be like some rookie shit.
Well, the Tom DeLonge storyline, right? The stuff that he was talking about back in 2017 was that all the crashes were done on purpose, right? To give us technology, right? To give certain countries a technological advantage, in fighting each other. That was like the TTSA lore.
I nominate experience to be the Spaces representative to meet the aliens.
I'll be down.
Aliens down this tunnel experience. You ready to go down there?
Yeah, I'm just going out from a fat ass blunt already being burned. Will you get a partake? No,
Yeah, that's great. That's why we need a bunch of stoned aliens, flying
Hell
around.
yeah, they'd be chill as shit, Stone.
Yeah, you get up there and they got like the probe machine ready. You're like, oh no.
That's how they communicate, through the probe.
You wouldn't offer them weed? I'd offer them weed.
They'd probably share a pipe of DMT with you.
Good host, man.
Nah, they have this stuff for like you hit it and you like just go instant out of body.
Maybe that's what DMT is, right?
Look who it is, Mr. Flat Earth himself.
Speak for yourself experience.
Oh, that's the poly market we need to start. The Earth is actually flat, confirmed by 2027, right?
Yeah, stay off the poly market, man. You're gonna get your money. I'm telling you, that's the biggest fucking.
Oh boy,
you already got
man.
hit. What'd you lose, Bobby? What'd you lose?
No, dude. No, right now, no, dude. See, if you recall, I was the one saying that aliens.gov was not about aliens. It was about immigration from day one.
You called
it. And I put my money where my mouth was too. I put about $500 to win 5,000 on Poly Market, and the market still has not resolved a yes, despite Luna coming out and directly saying that it was about immigration, and I think it was Burleson also said that it was about immigration. But somehow, I still haven't got my $5,000. So I'm telling you, Poly Market's a big scam, like everything else in life. Stay away from it.
What's the odds on the trounce coming tomorrow?
I don't think there's a market for that, because I think they've kind of accepted that, this is going to be like a normal thing. But I did make $200 off of the last tranche that came out. So, I mean, that was pretty nice.
Nah, but your aliens.gov, it just sounds like you're not being patient,
It's
Ryder.
not about immigration. It's not.
So if they launch the site, if they launch the site and it's about immigration, you're going to get your $5,000, right?
Yeah, but it has to be launched by it's launched or confirmation from a government official. So are we now saying that like confirmation from a government official does not count if it's done in a tweet? Because if so, I think that would have broad implications on poly markets, right?
I see what you're saying.
Because I know for a fact that poly markets, like there has been plenty of markets that have been resolved based off of a tweet. So you're telling me now that like because Grider's about to win $5,000 if the tweets don't count? I think it's discrimination against Luna because she's Hispanic personally. I think they're a bunch of misogynist, racist over there at poly market. I think nobody should put $1.
So the poly market is conspiring against you because you feel like there was confirmation and they have not paid you your $5,000 yet.
Exactly. Yes.
Gotcha. I'm just trying to.
You're right on target.
It's not about immigrants, at least not terrestrial immigrants.
You know the 1 billion impressions on the website? Like
I call bullshit on that.
500 million is fucking UFO Twitter.
I don't believe the billion.
Also bots, right? Crawlers, bots, AI. I mean, come on.
Billion is crazy. Even if it's just impressions and not clicks or people.
Nobody's posting anything from it. That's what that's what I was just saying. Like nobody was posting any documents. I was posting, like there was some funny ass shit in there. There was like this dude who had I mean it's kind of weird, but he ran over, it was like a newspaper article that he thought he hit an alien. He thought he saw a UFO and then hit an alien. And then somebody analyzed the body and it was like a baby monkey or something. And he's got like this newspaper on it. They're just posting all this crazy bullshit in there.
Can you imagine hitting a baby monkey and you think it's an alien now? That's a hard night. That's a hard fucking night. I just saw a UFO.
Well, you know, there's a theory that's what crashed at Roswell, that they were sticking monkeys inside of like V1 rockets that were converted to be basically piloted missiles, right? There was a version of the V1 rocket that has like a cockpit in it, right? And you guys know that during the 50s and I think 50s, right? And 60s, early 60s, we were testing space rocketry. Desmo can account to this by sticking monkeys that, I don't know, they kind of looked a little bit alien, right? They looked like weird monkeys, right? And so that's a theory that I actually just came up with a couple seconds ago.
That's kind of crazy.
So actually, actually, I just came up with that theory a couple seconds ago. So, that's the Grider theory on Roswell. Probably not true, but hey, I haven't seen any documentation.
Your theory is that they were bodies, but they were monkey test bodies.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. They were monkeys in alien suits, or like they were monkeys in space suits, right? Because you guys know that, like, there was plenty of German aircraft that like required like a space.
Wait, hold up. Was it jetpack?
Possibly. Hey, who knows, right? I haven't seen any documentation to disprove that there weren't jetpacks, right? Or to prove that there weren't jetpacks. So it's a possibility.
Crowd, you might think you just came up with this, but I've always thought it was monkeys in spacesuits.
Oh, now you're trying to upstage me? Just how typical.
But that's just how it works, man. You're right. It's monkeys, man, in spacesuits with little space helmets on. Can you imagine a fucking dead monkey with a space helmet on? All burnt up and shit. It's an alien.
Yep.
Yo,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to ask, Experience, did he see the back and forth from Mick West and Merrick on the Wiggins stuff? Have you seen that recently?
No, I haven't. What was the back and forth?
They're just, I think Mick West, they're trying, something happened where Mick West, like, is looking for video confirmation of what Wiggins was explaining in Congress. And Marique used some other video that was shared by Corbell. And he's like, well, that's not the same video that we're looking for, where the UAP comes out of the water and it joins the other ones and they speed off. So they're just like arguing. But it's just
But Wiggins didn't have video at the hearing. Though.
Yeah, no, he didn't post anything. That's what, and somebody challenged him, Mick West, to be like, oh, well, explain it away with data that you just make up to make it prosaic. So, it's just a stupid argument, honestly. And I thought it was pointless.
Those two just need to do a podcast and get it over with.
They did. They were on Jesse Michaels, and they let him go at it like 2 hours.
Do a whole series. Start their own podcast.
Did you all see it was supposed to be like 8 times the number of files released tomorrow compared to last time? 8 times more files than last time. over 1,300 files. Like if you go to the website right now, they have the
1,300
pages
files.
filled out. They have the pages filled out with like blank document placeholders.
Not to toot my own horn any more than I've already tooted it, right? It's pretty well tooted by this point. But you guys know who was the first one to post one of the videos, right, from the UAP file drop last week?
I was trying to ask you about it, and you weren't answering.
It was your boy Grider. No, man, I said that the source was in the file. Like,
yeah, but like,
or
where
the
does this
source
come
was in the
from?
post.
I thought it was, but I was like, where they like? You're like, oh, it's in the source. I'm like, no, where did you get the video?
I got it from my special, my special source.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I have an inside source, a high level, or actually, I'm not gonna lie, it's a low level military source that I have. You know, I can't tell you about it. I got a tip, right? I got a Jeremy Corbell tip, and you know, I can't tell you, man, because I'm gonna hop on it tomorrow too. I'm telling you, I'm gonna be number one back to back. All right.
I watched the sleeping dog thing, guys. It's fucking creepy. Why aren't we more creeped out by that?
Which part?
Which part
that
creeps you
half
out?
hour him and his mom cried about he thinks they're going to kill him. That part. I mean, what the fuck are you guys watching?
It wasn't really creepy to me. I felt for his mom, really. I mean, Corbell at this point knows what he's getting into, so I felt for his mama. I ain't gonna lie.
I didn't feel like he was going to be killed, though. I felt like the whistleblowers maybe that he was dealing with, he was kind of putting out there that they were in danger.
Dude, he was crying, saying they're going to kill me. I mean, what?
It's called acting, Sam.
You didn't see it through that scene, Astral.
No, where he's like getting all, and then he like cracks open a beer like 3 seconds later. Yeah.
That reminds me, Astral. You can't judge a man. Hold on. Yes. You can't judge a man for cracking a beer when he's a little upset.
I did actually experience your space with the director, bro. Like that brought a little bit more perspective on things where we even got to ask him about taking I think you asked him about taking
digging this shit up.
Yeah, digging that shit up. And he's like, were you putting it on or whatever?
I don't know, man. That director's bullshit about the fucking document that was given to Congress was a little disingenuous. Schellenberger fucking broke that story. That's why they said Schellenberger gave that information, and they're just trumping up the bullshit with that. He just towing the Corbell line with it, man.
Hold on. So you think Schellenberger? I don't know if you saw the Tubi documentary because I know you're not a Corbell fan. But the way the Tubi documentary kind of outlined what Schellenberger did, it was definitely him kind of like not taking the credit, but the credit was given to him and he did not correct the record.
But Schellenberger broke the story. Before Corbell and Matt Brown ever came public, Schellenberger wrote that article about Immaculate Constellation.
Yeah, that is right, though.
He did. He wrote the article.
100%. And that's why he was testifying at Congress, because he wrote that fucking article.
He wrote the article.
And then he testified.
The people that he wrote the article on was people that Corbell put him onto.
Yeah, that's an assumption, right?
No, I think it was outlined in that Tubi shit.
I think that's the phone call in which Corbell tries to get, like, there's a point, was it in the Tubi thing where he's got him on the phone or whatever?
Yeah. But to me, it's like, I don't really care either way. To me, it's like, the Immaculate Constellation came out. Regardless of how it came out through Schellenberger, through Corbell, whatever. The director's thing was saying that Corbell was more mad, less about him getting credit, more about him potentially fucking up his reputation amongst the whistleblowers.
I think that's a cop-out to justify his temper tantrum that he fucking threw in the goddamn Tubi documentary. He was acting like a fucking whiny bitch.
He was definitely hated on Schellenberger, like, unnecessarily, man. I think Schellenberger, like, he got a bad, he kind of got the bad end of the stick on that as far as, like, all the hate that he got, man. Like, I think it was really unnecessary. I don't think he did anything wrong. I think Corbell just was acting like a fucking baby.
But I mean, after you throw a little fucking hissy fit on a documentary and storm around the Capitol and fucking get all pissed off, you've got to try to save face through anybody that'll fucking toe your line. You know that.
I think
So hold on. Let's walk through this though. All right, the document that he presented to Nancy Mason then was something that Schellenberger did not produce, right? That was something that came directly from Matthew Brown.
Exactly.
But you don't necessarily know that wasn't used by Schellenberger to write his article. You don't know
Immaculate
that.
Constellation shit. I don't know if that was. I think it was more on the whistleblower.
Schellenberger didn't even release his source at all.
No, listen here. So Matthew Brown said specifically in that interview with Corbell that Schellenberger was the first person that he went to. And then when Schellenberger was like dragging his feet to get any sort of answer back about when he talked to Schellenberger, he ended up speaking to Grush or something, and then Grush had told him to go to Corbell. But Matthew Brown said specifically that Schellenberger was the first person that he talked to about Immaculate Constellation, and Immaculate Constellation was given to Michael Schellenberger. At that time, it was 23 pages. It wasn't this 13-page document that Corbell revised.
Doesn't he say that in Jesse Michaels? Doesn't Schellenberger do a thing and he says that in Jesse Michaels or something too?
So the whole point is Corbell acted like a little whiny bitch in that little Tubi documentary and threw a fit, and everybody made fucking fun of him about it. And now his little director of this new documentary is trying to toe the line and say, oh, it wasn't about the credit. It was all about, not looking bad for the whistleblowers, which everybody knows that, as Android said, everybody knows that Schellenberger wrote that story. Everybody knows that Matt Brown went to him first before he went to Corbell. And as Corbell has always done, you can go back and watch the Weaponized podcast that he does this, and he did it to the Liberation Times dude too. Anytime a story breaks, Corbell's like, oh yeah, I knew about that. We knew about that, but we just couldn't say anything. Every fucking time he does that shit, man.
Is this the same thing as that hissy fit he threw over Immaculate Constellation? Like that
100%.
Exactly. Data. This is what we're talking about.
100%, dude.
Just consolidating here.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of bias towards Corbell. I get it. I'm not a fan of him either. And a lot of people shit on him because he's acting like a bitch, quote unquote, whatever. I don't care. Like, if this guy is in the mix for whatever reason and has access to information, I'd like to know what that is. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. The doc was fine to me. It was cool. I liked the dude, the director. I had a good conversation with him. But yeah, with Corbell, it's like, man, people are going to love him or hate him. And people that hate him are going to hate him no matter what he does.
I got another perspective on him too. Like after the whole last week where he came out with the doc, and because I was just wondering how he came into the position that he is of having the guy. And I think he's tried to work himself into this role where whistleblowers are going through him. And he, at one point, he's like, all the whistleblowers at one point are, I was involved in bringing them in. And I think he's kind of like in a way, kind of tried to establish himself as that. And that might, irk a lot of other people, like Ross Cohart and shit, all that. But yeah, to see that. And then, one of the interviews that I saw was the Chris Ramsey thing. The Chris Ramsey thing, bro, I was going into, he was getting absolutely destroyed in the comments, bro. Everybody's like, I couldn't even watch it for 10 minutes. Fuck Corbell. And
it's a real tough watch, man. It's a tough watch.
Ramsey had to make a video explaining.
So it's a tough watch, bro. I liked the interview. I was fucking cracking up. I was dying. I was like, yo, this is actually good. I liked Corbell, bro. It was so weird. I was like, yo, I actually liked Corbell in the interview. So it was so, but because he was just, I felt like he was explaining some of the situations, and just being like, F it. I feel like in a way, and then the director said this too, him and Knapp made this decision or whatever. I don't know what the decision was, but for me, I think it looks like Corbell is just kind of like, fuck it, dude. He, I don't know what that means, but he kind of is has a little bit more of a change attitude, fuck it. Whether he was whatever he was on the Chris Ramsey shit, but I kind of like that.
Yeah, the Ramsey shit was recorded, I think, a while ago too. I don't think it was anything recent.
It was back in March, I believe. He also talked about a story in there he had never talked about before, that whole DOE pyramid thing. You
have to be careful with Corbell, though, because the guy has a history of completely trying to lead, his quote unquote whistleblowers, right? Like he did with the 29 Palms Marine, right? I did a lot of research into that, and I actually found and I talked to that Marine, that primary Marine witness. And I'm not talking about Castle. I'm talking about the 2021 29 Palms sighting that a group of United States Marines had. And Corbell absolutely led that witness. He promised that witness all types of things, like being in his documentary, being in front of Congress and testifying in front of congressional, people. And he, it's this, poor Marine who grew up in the poor part of West Virginia, which is pretty much all of West Virginia. And Corbell absolutely led that witness, absolutely got that witness to change his story over the course of about 2 years. And
it got debunked, right? Didn't you debunk it? The 29 Palms shit?
But for me, like, it's not about the debunking of the sighting, right? Which has been thoroughly done, by myself and by others, right? Of course, by Mick West, like he did a lot of great stuff on that as far as the technical side. But I actually found that Marine and talked to him.
So was it flares? It was flares?
Absolutely, 100% it was flares. And I actually talked to another Marine who provided me with pictures from that same night and from the opposite side of the mountain. And they're on my profile. I'll post them up in the nest, or I'll post them down in the comments here in a second. And you can see it's the exact same picture, or it's the exact same flare drop, but from the opposite side of the mountain. And you can see it's the exact same thing, and they're clearly flares. But the issue with Corbell in that case was that he promised this, this group of Marines, that they were going to have all these, different, perks if they changed their story. Because the first Marine, he absolutely knew that they were flares. Like, he knew that they were flares. His friend who was in the air, like the Air Force part of the Marines, right? I forgot what they called it, but it's like the Marines that fly. He actually had a buddy that was on one of the cargo planes that was operating in the air that night. And, his friend was like, yeah, that was flares. Like, we dropped flares. We were dropping them all night, and he, in this, this young Marine admitted it, to me. And also, he also said it in a podcast that only had like 10 views, right? And this was a podcast that was put out in the year between the sighting and the weaponized, podcast that came out. And so Corbell, in that time, this 20-year-old Marine talks about how Corbell would be in his text messages, constantly text messaging him and talking to him about alien stuff and like all the new cases, basically building a rapport with this guy, building a relationship, which I guess you do with your sources, right, as a journalist. But the way that he kind of slowly molded this Marine into, being the whistleblower that he was during that first episode, that first weaponized episode, completely changed from the Marine that this guy was when he first got contacted. And also Corbell, this is one really, really important thing, and I'll land my plane here, is that Corbell said during the weaponized episodes that he got a tip, right? He got a tip. He said it a dozen times that he got a tip about that sighting. Well, it turns out that he found out about that sighting from Facebook, right? So that 20-year-old Marine posted the pictures on his personal Facebook at like 10:30 p.m. at night on a weekday. And by 5 a.m. that next morning, Corbell was in his DMs on Facebook. So that's like a 7-hour period of time on a weekday night, overnight, that Corbell found, because Corbell lives right by the base, right? So it was same time period. Corbell, in that 7-hour period, had found this guy's post on Facebook, on his personal Facebook, and sent this guy a DM. So nobody gave Corbell a tip. Nobody he had no, high-level inside sources, right? It was all bullshit, and it's a fact. That's a fact. That's what happened. I have the proof. The proof's out there. The proof's on my face. I'm like the proof is on, plenty of podcasts that I went on. I went on Steve Camion and talked about it. It's on my profile. So Corbell, he fabricated the source, the provenance of that entire case. And that's something that I don't think people know. And you got to keep that in mind. This is a fact, and it's really concerning. It's really, that's an issue, right? When he's lying about the provenance, when he's attributing, to this high-level source that contacted him about this tip. And then not only that, but he's claiming that these high-level sources, he's turning around and talking to this 20-year-old Marine and saying, hey, well, my high-level sources, these two high-level guys are telling me that they don't even know what it is. So how can you tell me that it's flares when these two high-level Marine, high-level officers are telling me that they don't even know what it is? So he's like, he's bullshitting. He's full of shit. And that's my problem. Not the fact that he acts, flamboyant or anything. I mean, I could care less about how he acts. It's what he does. And what he has done in the past is just, it's damnable. And people need to know about it. And I wish that I could, have more of a platform to talk about it more, but I went out there and talked about it as much as I could. But you guys got to know that's a fact. What I just described happened. It's irrefutable. So like Corbell, in my opinion, he's not credible, right? And he should be questioned, and you should be really cautious believing anything that he says.
The prosecution arrests, Your Honor. Lock him up. Lock up Jeremy Corbell. Throw away the key.
That was
I've been growing out my beard. I think I'm almost to his level. I'm going to have a documentary coming out here in the next few months.
I just never gave a shit about 29 pounds.
Experience, no matter where the truth lies, man. That was a great space. Did a great job.
Appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Yeah, we need more. Also, we need more George Knapp too. George Knapp got to get. Let's get some more George Knapp in there too. We got a couple people jumped up too. We got vetted up here. Paul, I know you haven't spoke yet. So what's up, guys? And do the remote viewing. I'm going to reveal the target in about 15 minutes or so. Like and share the space. We're going to keep it going all night. We got the pre-game UFO Files is dropping tomorrow night. The Trounce number 2. Trounce 2.
Trounce. That's the new word.
Astral, what are you expecting?
A lot of disappointment after hearing Burleson today.
Massive disclosure. It's coming tomorrow.
The only dude advocating for UFOs in Congress doesn't even believe in aliens. Amazing.
That's right. Throw it all away. It's all bullshit, right, Paul?
It's all bullshit. That silver orb I saw is all bullshit.
It's a psychological operation from the American people by the United States government.
No, I don't think it's all bullshit for sure, but I think what people are going to go through is a expedited process of what we in the UFO community have been going through, because I don't think we're going to get a lot of any answers, and people are going to get very frustrated very quickly because if they're dropping every couple weeks and they're like, the next one's holy crap, bro, the next one's holy shit, dude, like, and it's not anything that's going to impact any, and they're just like constant disappointments. I think people are going to be like, yo, what's the deal with this?
What is the over-under of Astral crashing out tomorrow if there's no file drop? I asked this earlier. I don't think nobody else chimed in.
He's already scheduled.
If we don't have anything tomorrow, how many people are going to go crazy?
I mean, the website's got placeholders right now for over 1,300 new files right now.
Let's get it.
Doesn't mean it drops tomorrow. Could be they just have the placeholders.
That Friday drop, though, it just feels so good on a Friday. I'm telling you, it just feels like they're about to drop something.
Oh yeah, Astral's crashing out for sure.
Spielberg's having him hold it up for a week or two right before his stay.
I mean, fuck, if you listen to him, his movie's a disclosure.
Hey, did you guys, I bet most of the people haven't seen the Sound, Light, and Frequency episode where these dudes from Dark Skies say that Steven Spielberg was trying to shut it down, shut down their film because they were talking about Men in Black.
I was going to watch it tonight. I was curious what
Oh, shit, I spoiled it. Damn it.
Oh, no, it's all good, bro. Now I'm even more interested.
Oh, no, it's a good one, dude. But yeah, Disclosure Day, and you know what talks about Disclosure Day is probably the plot of he was on Stephen Colbert and he explained the plot, and it's like the ideal whistleblower that we don't have right now. It just feels like every whistleblower is like holding the hand of Dopser or the DOD, being like, "Oh, what can I say? I'm not allowed to say that." Okay, yeah, and this guy's like going to the max of like exposing the alien material and craft and language and shit, and he's just putting it all out there.
Yeah, like an existential thinker, sort of like Snowden, right? Like We need a Snowden in this space. We really do.
Thank you.
But I don't think people have the access to the documents, though. Like, they don't have the documents to put out there.
I don't know if we could have a Snowden with allegedly how compartmentalized this is, right? Sort of to Astral's point, right? If you have a program, like the NSA had a program that was collecting data on, every person allegedly out there, right? And that's what Snowden sort of got a hold of, was the proof of that happening, right? That was all sort of collected in one area where he was able to pull that data from. All of this, allegedly, if it exists, right? If this legacy program exists, it's all allegedly compartmentalized through different entities, different parts of the government, private contractors, everywhere. So you're not going to get one person that has the full picture of everything.
Snowden said he searched for
UFO
UFO information, and nothing ever came up throughout all of his breach.
I don't think
there are less people, right? Like, so there's integration leads over the silos, right? There's the systems integration person, right? Like, there's not very many of them, right?
I don't think that there would be, though, in truly compartmentalized programs.
What about Gary McKinnon?
Yeah, but he was saying that the NSA, it's like everything. Like, they were monitoring no matter where it was, like they picked up anything.
Well, that's signals intelligence. That's not really reverse engineering or systems integration of like physics and engineering.
I mean, it's just my assumption. I could be wrong. If this thing exists and it's like they say it is, like Manhattan Project 2.0, 80 years later, 90 years later.
You need multiple people, right? Like from different parts of the. Yeah.
Well, my point is, there could be thousands of people working in the silos, but there's only like one integrations person, right? One systems integration person per, I don't know, X amount of silos. So like the amount of people that actually know the full picture is probably incredibly small, and they probably know how to keep their fucking mouth shut. Otherwise, they wouldn't have got that job.
That's what I mean, right? They're incredibly, no pun intended, vetted and cleared to be the people that aren't going to fucking talk.
But why? So why would the manager
monitored all the time as well?
Why would the managers of the legacy program talk to somebody like Eric Davis and reveal what's going on inside of it?
No, I think Doty would talk to somebody like Eric Davis and pretend to reveal.
So that's the thing, right? Is I don't buy Eric Davis. I don't buy Hal Puthoff. I don't buy any of that shit that flows out from Bigelow and that shit that they were doing in the 90s that flowed into ATIP with Reed. Like all of that shit that originated from, in essence, Doty's shit to Bill Moore and then on up, right? Anything that comes from any of that group, man, I don't fucking buy it. I don't buy it.
What do you think of VP Lockheed Martin, VP James Ryder, that was said under oath by George Knapp? That seems to be the source of Eric Davis, honestly.
What do you mean?
Well, George Knapp said Lockheed Martin Vice President James Ryder, former, I don't think he's there anymore, was one of the names he dropped under oath. And then during the congressional hearing, and then Eric Davis made a comment. He didn't say the guy's name, but he said a VP of a legacy program when he was on, I think Jesse Michaels or at one point some video he said that.
Maybe, we don't know, right? The guy a lot of people have dropped a lot of names, right? That have been associated, been VPs, been high up in the intel chain or in the CIA or in the Navy intelligence or AFOSI. Like all of these names have been dropped, but none of those names that have been dropped have came forward to say shit. It's all people pointing at, like Gerb does, right? I'm not trying to talk down about him or the Libertation Times guys do, right? They say, "Hey, we think we've been informed that these are the branches of these departments of these organizations that were doing this thing. We believe this, and these are the people that we know are associated with those things." But we don't know that if any of those people have actually come out and said jack all of shit. All we know is their names are associated with these groups, and at some point in time, they operated within those groups. We don't know who said what.
It's all speculation, right?
Exactly.
I mean, everything, even what Gerb does, he's very well researched, but it's still just a speculation / opinion of what he thinks is going on. You know what I mean? So I get it. Look, I want proof too. There's a lot of names, a lot of shit pointing to certain things. We don't know what's what. But yeah, I feel like there's enough smoke for me to see that there's something going on.
I agree. That's violent agreement with that, man. Like 100%. There's something going on just because the amount of classification and secrecy behind all of this is telling that there is a there. And I just don't know what the fuck the there is. I don't know what it is. Wish I did.
The there is the topic making on ESPN, where it's like the Pat McCaffrey shows debating the 4 alien hybrids or the 4 alien races.
Right.
I'm like, damn, that's crazy.
You know what I think the minimum is? I think at a minimum we have some super advanced, like, fucked up technology, like metric engineering, warp drives, dimension hacking, something like that. But it has nothing to do with like ETs. You know?
Yeah, it's Ashton Forbes, man. It's orbs and warp holes, bro.
I think he's a fuck ass too, man. But I think that's technically the direction I'm kind of going with this. Like,
yeah, but one of the concerns is that I've always kind of brought up is the topic itself is driven on journalism. So it to me, it doesn't make sense when these guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Eric Weinstein are coming out and they're like, oh yeah, like UFOs are real now. Like there's nothing scientifically that's been coming out. Like you look at Beatrice, but that wouldn't convince an Eric Weinstein to jump over to the fence to be like, oh yeah, like now the UFOs are real. Like now I believe it.
So like the lens and there's a lot of the original like I can't say it. The Alcubierre drive required negative energy, exotic matter. That's no longer the case. Right around the time COVID like hit, there were a bunch of like white papers or papers that were peer reviewed to show positive energy metric engineering is now possible. And that was about the same time the Pentagon confirmed all that, like all SAP stuff. You know what I mean? It's all in the same timeline. It's like runs parallel.
If I can jump in, Data, I mean, I agree with you. What you were talking about earlier, the idea that there's, these areas of research that are conducted and then they kind of disappear and that's where they go into the black world. This is the pattern that I've sort of seen developed as I go, back, even back to the 30s, right? You have these reported UFO, UAP crashes, reported recovery. Then the government response is usually, traditionally something denying. But then if you begin to break down the science behind them, then you start to see these patterns of the science developing, and it has these exponential leaps in between these findings and what comes out in the public usually comes, 15, 20 years later. But the pattern is there, and the speed at which the technology develops, or I shouldn't say technology, but the speed at which the science develops is anomalous to any other areas of what normal scientific development is sort of scheduled or recognized to be. And there's always these incident, denial, leaps. And from the research I've done, I found exactly what you described. The programs seem to get spread out. So there's this big spread, the compartmentalization of different research areas. And in some cases, things that publicly or through these programs seem to fail
to some degree, but they're continually invested in. And then all of a sudden it drops off. And that's where I think that drop off goes into the black world and or the black world for integration. But then otherwise elements of that is then militarized or weaponized.
Yeah, and if you have a PhD in one type of physics, and like I don't know, let's say you want to get a second PhD in another like pseudo-adjacent field, you have to get approval to do so. Do you know why? Because if you start studying the other field, you'll start noticing your equations solve problems in the other field, and vice versa, right?
And it's funny because that's what I've run into with different physicists and engineers. I know Hecker's in here. He's looked at some of it. Physicists and engineers looking at my father-in-law stuff because they say it's unusual because he seems to be a sort of systems integration. Because some people said, no, this is like mechanical physics, not theoretical physics or astro or whatever. But the way they've described it to me is it's like an integration.
Yes.
And that's what he was working on, yeah.
Yeah, so that's like McCaslin, right? He was like the perfect person to be an integrations person over the silos for, the Mondaloy, the person who made the Mondaloy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's
you don't
what
need
makes
theoretical physicists. You need applied engineers.
Right. And that's what makes McCaslin unique because of all of, there's been like 16 commanders of Air Force Research Lab, right? Not a big deal that you're a commander of that and that stuff. What makes him unique of anybody that's missing is that undersecretary job over the SAP programs, which was the integration layer.
Yep, we're on the same page, Gene. We should get in the back channel sometime and talk.
Hell yeah, connect with that. 5 minutes, just a heads up for the remote viewing. Pat, you got your hand up. What's up, bro?
What up, y'all? Desmo, I have a question for you, man. If you've been asked already, I apologize. I just jumped up, but I just saw, kind of skimmed through it. I didn't see the whole thing, but this new Jesse Michaels video that came out, and it's kind of a story that I'd already was aware of. But essentially, Jake Barber and his team used the DOPSR process to sort of suss out real classified information. So they sent stuff in to be pre-approved for DOPSR with this thing called Sentinels of Ether. It was like a fiction sort of novel. And what they're claiming is that they sort of reverse engineered the DOPSR process, right? They put in stuff they didn't know if it was classified, but by submitting that stuff, they got it back and it was redacted. And so they're like, it is classified, right? They used the DOPSR to confirm classification. Is that possible? It seems like a huge loophole of national security that on its surface just seems ridiculous, right? Like, what do you know about anything like that?
There's assumptions being made with that, right? So he wrote that fucking story, in essence, that was supposed to be fiction, submitted it to DOPSR, put a bunch of shit in that he alleged was real, that he believed was real, and they classified like whole pages of that document. That doesn't mean that everything within the page that was redacted was classified, or any of it is, honestly. I mean, you're taking a leap there in making that assumption and trying to utilize that system in that way. It could be or it could not be, I guess is the best way to put it. But they definitely made definitive statements that he tricked the system to validate his, material being actually based off of classified operations, when it could have been just one fucking thing in that whole page that they didn't want released, or loosely tied to some real operation or real whatever going on at some location, and they say, well, this has got to go, right? So you don't really know it, you know what I mean?
Stories to me, like that Jake Barber story with the firefight, now supposedly another firefight. Like, how are we supposed to prove that? Other than, like Ryder said, we get the name of soldiers that actually died.
I mean, Jesse Michaels goes into it in that thing he did. He's like, yeah, you can FOIA. You know that, hey, you had this operation with, fucking what is the North America NORAD. You had this operation with NORAD. You had these things happening on this day. These people deployed to this, and you could do FOIA requests to validate whether or not those things actually happened or not. But he supposes that you could do those things. He didn't say, hey, we did these things and we received this validation. He's just saying that you could validate it in this manner, but he never actually says that they took those steps to make sure that actually happened.
And the one other thing I want to add to that, Desmond, was, when it comes to classification, common misperception, just because it's classified does not mean that it's true, right? And that's like one of the things we should take from the first Pursue drop. You look in those files, right? What's in there? Tons of newspaper articles and shit like that. Those were all, classified. That doesn't mean any of the newspaper articles are true or anything like that. They're collecting the information. They're collecting it from certain sources. They're putting it together for analysis. Collectively, the analysis, is the big thing that's, classified. But just because something comes back and it's classified does not mean that it's true, and that's why it's classified.
Well, just like that book, the Adam and Eve story, right, by whatever the fucking author's Chan, whatever, I can't remember exactly. But it talks about like crustal displacement from magnetic pole shifting or whatever. And a lot of people attribute that the fact that the CIA classified that book to mean that it is an actual factual account of what has happened in our past. I'm not saying it is or isn't, but you can't, as Gene, you're saying, you can't automatically assume that just because you have classification means it's true information. It just might be information that they don't want released for whatever reason. It doesn't necessarily have to be factual.
Right. Sometimes it's just what it's coupled with that.
Yeah, like overclassification, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
right. Yeah.
It could be about like how water is wet when it touches you, but it's because it's associated with something, they can't release it.
Yep. That's it. That's the best I could tell you though, Vidit. I mean, I watched that whole thing with Jesse Michaels. He had some really shitty AI graphics on some helicopters that look fucking dumb as shit. But I mean, the story is interesting, right? It's interesting. If that shit actually went down, that's fucking crazy. If you're actually saying that there's nano structures built into the side of mountains that make, cave entrances and shit like they all, say in this thing, that's fucking crazy, right? And it's a stretch though, man. Like, it's the best I could say, It could be. I mean, fuck, anything could be true these days. I don't fucking know, but
I just need a little bit more proof than just. I mean, the stories are fun, it's cool, but like, all right, how do y'all prove this thing really happened? Without any kind of evidence or proof. Like, it's just stories.
I just think
they doubled down on the psionics part of it today, saying that you could, imitate the Greer CE5 protocol, and then also actually take over and control these UAPs if you have good intentions.
I mean, there is
strong enough mind.
There is something to it though, bro. Like, to me, in following it, look, researching people who are experiencing this phenomenon, it goes back to the psychic stuff. Like, if you genuinely feel like this is happening, Chris Bledsoe is a perfect example, but what I was trying to look at is people who are experiencing the phenomenon more often than others, like more frequently. You study that, you figure out like, okay, let's go out with this person, let's outfit them, let's go out 20 times. Like, if people are saying they're going out and they're seeing UFOs because they're going out and consciously trying to see UFOs, okay, like, go out and fucking study those people. How do you do that? You know, with multi-sensor data and confirming that and making into a science, like that is the science of the UFO topic to me, is the people that are experiencing that. You study them, you study everything that's going on with multi-sensor data, and you send them out and do what they do. And you know what I'm saying? Like this is what they're experiencing, and you study that. And I just don't think there's enough of that consciously trying to like gather data of stuff that's going on with experiencers that are saying they're experiencing this right now.
I don't disagree, but it's the whole like controlling him, not just summoning him and bringing him into your experience, but like he straight up said, not only can we like summon them into being able to see them, but you can then pilot them and control them by doing so. And that to me was it's a bit of a stretch, man. If that was the case, man, wouldn't we be seeing these things fucking drop out of the sky like all the time? You know?
Like everything you laid out, Astro, is how I'd want the science to be done on that. It's just for me, when I hear Greer and CE5, I'm like, I power down like immediately. Like I just can't do it.
Oh, look, I have a documentary coming out very soon titled Psionics. You know, I'm sure some of y'all know I spent months last year hanging out with so many different people who claim to have that ability, all across the United States. So different classes, different backgrounds, different, right? Nobody famous, maybe one person who's kind of well known, but just all across the board, different types of people. And you know, what I would say is if it's true, you know, there are no rules, there are no protocols, there are no explanations, because everyone approached it differently. They all had different rules they followed, and they all thought what was happening was completely different. Someone thought, a father-son that I filmed with in Miami thought it was God, right? Like biblically God, like Christian God, and that they were angels, and like, you know, it was a very sort of, deity driven. Whereas, someone else I filmed with said that it was a manifestation of yourself, actually, that what was appearing. It wasn't aliens or God or anything like that. It was a manifestation you created, you know, sort of a reflection of yourself. And then other people that I filmed with who claim to also have this ability, they thought they were summoning aliens, you know, like extraterrestrials, that were coming out. But again, in my experience, they all had different approaches of what you did to go out, what sort of steps you needed to take to cause a reaction or summon or invite, whatever word you want to use. They all had different approaches. There might have been a few common themes, but for the most part, they all had their own sort of routine or, you know, what they did. Some would fast beforehand. Some, like to go to a particular spot. Some people like, we got to have music, you know. Everyone had like different steps or, you know, what they thought they needed to do to sort of invoke that situation. But, you know, what I found with, I do talk about it in the film, but, hanging out with Gino from the UFO Files, because he filmed with me, he was there with me for a lot of it. You didn't really, like, things were just flying around the sky at all the time. Like, you didn't need to summon anything. And I never saw any sort of cause and effect, if that makes sense, right? Like, I never saw a direct cause and effect. Again, there's just like, if you look up at the night sky, things are moving around, right? And you could argue that you're just attaching the cause coming from you, that something is moving around. But, you got to remember there's satellites, there's all kinds of shit flying around up there. And that could be confusing for people. But what I would say at the end is I did see enough interesting things that I personally would like to see more research put into that. Kind of what Astral describes, something really deep, scientifically to study some of this, to really establish the cause and effect, because that's the big claim, is that I can make this happen, and other people claim I can make this happen. And not only make it happen, I can also control the person or thing I invited and that entity. And then the third level would be proving what that thing is that got invited, right? So there's sort of different levels to it. But yeah, I think there's enough there to, study further, because it does involve our consciousness, which we don't understand. So maybe there is something going on. I don't know what it is, but I never saw any indisputable proof with quite a lot of people that I filmed with. Now, they claimed a lot of things, and that's fine. I'm happy to hear people out and go out in the field and, see what happens. It was definitely interesting. And last thing I'll say, I'll land it here. The coolest thing about this sort of thing is you can go try it yourself. You don't need to pay $5,000 to Stephen Greer.
Right.
You don't need to pay any money. You don't even need to watch YouTube video. You don't need to do shit. Just go out in your backyard with a fold-out chair and do whatever you think would make it happen. Think about it, whatever. Just whatever you want, honestly. And try it. Give it a try and see if it's something you like. At the least, you'll have a great time just hanging out. If you go with some friends, crack open a few beers, whatever. Some of you guys like to smoke some weed, hang out, just kind of have fun.
Like a Skywatch,
right?
bro,
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing with it, at least for me personally, right? And I'm just speaking for me here. Like, I'll definitely watch a documentary on it. I'll maybe even go watch people do CE5, some shit, because I like skywatching as it is. I'm not looking for UFOs. I just like stargazing. But me personally, I have no desire to do CE5, to try and reach out with my mind, to pull a craft. No, just fucking land. I don't care about like summoning shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my thing. But I get why people are kind of attracted to it, because potentially there's some consciousness shit to it. But yeah, until that shit really gets proven, and like you said, the science is done on it, I'm very low on my, give a fuck about scale.
I think it's the expectation
Give
too.
a fuck about scale. I love that, bro. That's a new scale we need to keep track of, y'all. The give a fuck about scale. Let's pin that. Love it.
What's up, Grider?
Hey, can I circle back around to the talk about how Barber was trying to use Sentinels of the Ether to extract information from the government? Is that okay?
Yes, present your case, Grider.
No, may I play just a 40-second clip? It's from a podcast called Vetted. Just want to play a little 40-second clip.
Oh shit!
Here's Tom DeLonge. Yeah, so this is a video that Vetted came out with February 26, 2024, and it's a clip that I don't think a lot of people. I don't know. I'm surprised that more people don't talk about it. I was shocked when I found it. This is Tom DeLonge speaking on his TTSA podcast with Jim Semivan. I don't know the date on when the podcast was, but here's the clip. This is the first time that Tom DeLonge met David Grush, and really pay attention to what he says. This is really, really important.
The last few years, particularly since Dave Grush came out. And I wanted to ask you about that. Whether you've met with Grush, Graves, and Fravor, and what you thought about that interview. I thought it was a historic interview when they met with the House. I think it was the House, the Select Committee on Intelligence, or the House Armed Services Committee. I can't remember what. I mean, David, whom I know, pretty much let out a lot of stuff that I'm still shocked that he was allowed to say it. What did you think about that?
It blew my mind. I mean, completely blew my mind. And until I met with David and understood, because I did finally meet him. He came out to a show and brought him backstage and talked to him for a couple hours. And I was like, how in God's name were you able to do that? And he said it was actually really funny. He filed with the security offices of what he wanted to say. And the only way they could tell him not to say it was to admit that these things were real. So they just didn't admit that these programs and keywords and whatever the hell you guys do is real. So he's okay, then I'm going to say it, and I was like, oh my God, like he caught him in a catch-22.
But to see
Pretty barbaresque, right? That's pretty crazy, right?
That's a different. Yeah, but he didn't put that through Dopser to talk about it. He put that through his security group, his security office.
It's the same.
It's not the same
tactic, though.
It's same tactic, but it's the same. It's a different review.
That's what I'm saying. It's the same tactic. I mean, do you not find it kind of okay? Well, then maybe it's not as noteworthy as I thought. I thought it was pretty amazing because it's the same type of mentality, right? Same tactic. Maybe it's not the exact same verbatim process, but it's the same mode of thinking, right? That Barbara had. So
the main difference being that the Defense Office of Publication Review is reviewing information that's going out to be published by whoever has created that information, for public release. Whereas this is, hey, I'm going to go on air and talk about this in this interview. Can I talk about it? And you go to your security office or your security officer and say, hey, can I talk about these things? And either they say, no, you can't, or yes, you can. Based
you're
off
right.
of his
It's a night and day
classification.
difference. It's a huge difference. I see it now.
Hey, just a heads up too. I revealed the target up top, so anybody who was doing the remote viewing, like and share the space. We're gonna keep it going. We got the UFO Files Trounce 2. I think dropping this at the
Trounce. Astral's creating new words. It's Trounce now, guys.
Yo, UFO intros. What are you expecting from that Trounce?
Dude, thanks, Astral. No, I just so I put this thing down the thread as something all things unexplained, which, by the way, guys, please go follow him because he had his account hacked and he's like working from ground zero, right? He's got like 230 followers and that guy's been going on this for years. But anyway, he and I talked about this, one of these files that was released a couple weeks ago, right? In their last tranche. And if you look at a lot of those files, I'm just being honest, and I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but I'm trying to do a favor to a lot of you guys. And Patrick,
Don't say Leos. Whatever you say, don't say Leos the next 5 minutes.
I'm going to. Sorry. I'm just saying that I'm trying to help you guys not get pie on your face, really, because if you look at a lot of those files, right, anyone that comes out after 2019, 2020, when there was a substantial increase in low Earth orbit satellites, you have people in the government who aren't even informed on this. I mean, Arrow just barely gave like a pseudo PSA, right, a couple years ago on what these were, year and a half ago, maybe, and no one's paying attention, and they all think they're UFOs. I'm just saying, like, it's a thing.
Well, Burleson doesn't. He came out and was like, which I think is funny, is he came out and was like, actually, I think most of them are balloons and birds.
I try to keep it pretty simple, especially with some of these videos. Like, first of all, I don't give a shit about any of these videos because they're not clear enough. We don't know what to make of them. And like Kimball said, if they're a bunch of Leos, what would stand out to me is if they're going in one direction, if they're not zigzagging around like a fucking hummingbird or a fish in the sea, like if they're not just disappearing and completely just taking off with fast acceleration, I'm not going to consider it anything else than, what it is, potentially some sky junk or a fucking satellite. Like, I want to see the non-prosaic shit. Give me the zigzagging, crazy fast, weird-looking UFO shit. That's what I want to see.
The 5 observables.
Well, everything's a UFO if you don't identify it, right? Like,
it's gonna be a battle. They're gonna release a video.
That's kind of the point, though. Data is a lot of people don't understand what these look like, and I'm coming out with the thing here in the next week probably to help people do this.
Inspire the UFO hunting club. Everyone's gonna want to shoot at it. After
But what happens when it's disappointment though? Like what happens when tomorrow the video that we get that Burleson and Burchett thought was going to change the fucking world doesn't move the needle at all?
Well, I look forward to an astral crash out then. 3 minutes and 30 seconds of you crashing out.
You remember,
That's too soon.
You guys remember that one that went around the internet a few years ago of them? It's like a battleship that like shoots one down out of the sky. That would be good if the government released that one.
Not yet.
Yeah, the Hellfire missile. Yeah.
No. There's one of like a triangular craft that's like shot. There's like pictures of it, but maybe there's a video.
Oh shit. Talk about the Hellfire.
No, there's a different one. I'll see if I can find the video or the pictures.
Anyway,
I'm not saying there isn't crazy shit out
can
there.
I just say something?
Yeah,
don't
go
know what
ahead.
it is.
What's up, bro?
I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying to be a Neil deGrasse Tyson here, but like, it is unidentified to you if you don't know what some human tech looks like, you know? So we just, you know, I know firsthand, like I've debunked some of the psionic people, right? Some of these psionics, I mean, Patrick said it really well a few minutes ago, like this shit's up there all the time. It's not like responding to them, you know, doing their meditation or whatever.
No, I saw the psionic thing was on who's the woman producer for News Nation, Megan. She had this new guy on where it was like this new episode of the podcast that she's doing, and he was like presenting video of his psionic shit, and I'm like, bro, this, you know, just a video isn't gonna do it anymore. You have to present multi-sensor data to corroborate what's going on in the sky, and you have to eliminate all prosaic explanations. Think about this. Avi Loeb has been doing the Galileo project for like 4 fucking years with hypersensitive data collection devices that are looking up in the sky for anything anomalous that's happening. He hasn't found shit in 4 fucking years.
Can we also just establish some baseline facts before we jump to psionics and mind control and summoning crafts and shit? Like,
I was trying to do that. Yeah.
Well, I know you were. I just mean in general with like what's getting put out. Like, can we just establish some baseline shit first?
Well, I think psionics is a rebranding. It's a term to me of psionics, and Jesse Michaels kind of went over it today. It's the same thing as Greer's CE5. It's kind of like a protocol or a method to initially make contact or have some sort of phenomenon happen in the sky based off of your, you know, conscious intention.
I'll be the party pooper and say that I'm just not a fan of orbs. Like, I don't give a shit about orbs. Like, I want to see like craft. You know what I'm saying? Like, orbs could be anything to me.
If it's a light, if it's a light in the
something
sky,
craft.
that's not an orb, right? If it's a light.
People say they're summoning. The people are saying they're summoning these. They call them craft as well. And I even talked to a guy that's in the documentary who claimed to land a craft in his backyard. I even spoke to someone. I already released the clip last August of when I was out filming with somebody. They told me they knew people at Skywatcher. The Skywatcher had already landed the craft. Well, I'm sure you guys remember that last year. I don't know if you do or not, but
oh yeah,
with NASA, the military present, and that guy was actually kind of mad at me that I put that clip out because he's like, "Oh, I thought the documentary was coming out next year." I'm like, "Yeah, it is, but you know, I still filmed that with you. You know, I was filming you. You know what I mean? I never said when I would release the footage." Regardless, we didn't even use it in the final cut. The film, my film's not really about secrets and these sort of things. But, you know, it's not even so much about the orbs. It's more about the people who claim these things. I really focused on the people because I didn't have a bunch of scientific equipment sort of measured the way Astral was saying, which I agree that's something that needs to be done. But yeah, I agree. Look, it's a very I don't know. It's an interesting thing, and I'm open to it. I'm not trying to be, you know, closed-minded.
Same.
No, just you should be open to it, just like personally experiencing it, and like remote viewing, what this part of the space is about. Just personal exploration in a topic. I've always just looked for ways to be able to do that, and CE5 to me is a way to.
It's a personal, right? Like you can do it. You don't need.
And I think there's this huge expectation. Like you go out and do CE5, and like this light appears, and it fucking shows you, and like mentally you see that like this is, it's so subtle, dude. Like you go out and you see in the corner of your eye as you're thinking about something, just fucking flash. That's it. That's what it is. It's not like something that's super obvious that like everybody is like, holy shit, it's the Phoenix Lights. It's something that's so subtle that when you think of something, there's like a flash of a light in the corner of your eye and you're like, oh shit. It's like a synchronicity, dude. And I think that's it.
In that definition, how is it related at all to UFOs?
Just because it's unidentified, you're right. It's a very loose connection to it, but because it's
to the individual.
To the basic definition of unidentified flying object, right? You're seeing that. Okay, that's it. It's
but
loose.
like, doesn't it sound a lot more like bending a spoon?
100%.
Right, because it's like. Because really, the context is that, you know, you can summon a UFO, not that you could see something in the corner of your eye that you might think about later, like, was that something? But like a craft, the craft that's clearly physical, has shadow, has light, has shape to it, and it responds, you know?
That's crazy. I thought
and
that was
even,
Lou Jimenez up until just like 10 seconds ago.
Damn. We, you know, there's also like actually a pretty, not a very long history with psionics. We have like a pretty long segment in our documentary exploring the history of psionics and where that term actually comes from. It's really from an author from the 50s. And then just kind of makes its way through some pop culture like Dungeons and Dragons and different things. Like, it's a very interesting term, and it kind of just started to get brought in again because it was known as CE5. That, you know, that's something that Greer sort of gave, but it's kind of made it's been rejuvenated and people are using that term. And I think it does include spoon bending, remote viewing, these other things, which is why I explored that as well in the documentary. And people who are typically involved with summoning orbs also partake in these other, you know, psychic sort of consciousness driven abilities.
Yeah, but that's how we get down the line and we get that broad saying that she can see through the blindfolds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, bro. Trust me, I'm with you, dog.
Patrick, did any of the people you interviewed, did they give you like an indication, these craft? Because this has always been my question, like these ETs, NHI, they're just like hanging out and they get a psychic message from somebody from Earth and they all, leave the conference room and jump in their UFO and go flying to respond to it? Like, did anybody say what these, like, why are they even responding to it? Like, that's
a great question.
This is higher intelligence. They got nothing else to do, or they're just sitting in a learning center. Yeah.
Well, that's why
I agree. I definitely asked that same question and had that same thought for sure. Again, the problem is with that is, again, a lot of people think a lot of different things about what it is that's coming out, right? So again, I met with someone who said it was a manifestation of yourself. So that question wouldn't apply to them, right? And the person I thought it was God, right? That doesn't apply to them. The people that I said that thought it was aliens, that applies to them. Yeah, ask that question, and basically the response is, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, right? I don't know, but I'm with you. Right? What are they sitting in a parking lot waiting for human?
No, for real.
To call them in, and then they pop in, and then what? They pop in, and what? They just fly around, like, you know what I mean? Like,
so far,
like their thing is to entertain us.
Yeah,
well, there's only so many options. There's only so many options.
Somebody say
it could be.
Didn't somebody say in your open mic yesterday that they thought of it like a white blood cell, like a defense system or something?
I don't know. Did somebody say that? I don't remember.
I think one of the things
I've heard that before.
One of the things that I think about is this like parlor trick. Like, somebody is going to be so psychically inclined that they're going to show everybody all of a sudden in one event that psychic stuff is real, when in reality, the way that you show it is over time, like testing that shit over like hundreds of fucking trials. And I think we're looking at it like looking for somebody who is like a super psychic who's going to show this shit is undeniable through this one fucking demonstration, through fucking mindsight or whatever this shit is. It's not going to fucking happen. What's going to happen is somebody that's actually skilled in this, showing this shit over time in very subtle ways. That's what I'm saying. Like, this shit is not obvious. Like, remote viewing, all of this psychic stuff is not obvious. Like, nobody's gonna come on like fucking The Boys or some super fucking X-Men psychic and is gonna come on and show that this shit is real. It's gonna take somebody dedicated over time to show that telepathy is real compared to chance and is actually being tested with real controls that are put into place over hundreds and fucking thousands of trials to show that this is actually real.
But why hasn't someone done that yet? In the decades and decades that we know psychic phenomena and research has been robust, has been very thoroughly researched. Why don't we have that yet?
We actually do. And there's a bunch of different groups that have some really rigorous science done behind it, like Princeton Engineering Anomalies Lab, PAIR, did a bunch of incredibly really empirically done scientifically studies. Dean Radin has done them, and there you want, if you want to try and validate something extraordinary, really high caliber, corroborated evidence done under really, empirically scientific, credible protocols. And the psychics who have the best reputation, people like Ingo Swann, Pat Price, Joe McMoneagle, and these are the more recent ones, have an incredible track record and a history. But they're a rarity, and everyone buys a guitar and wants to be, Jimi Hendrix or Eddie Van Halen or whoever. But there are very few virtuosos, you would think. But there is an indisputable reality, and I can, point you to the studies in the different groups who've done, really great work on this stuff. And there is a reality here, but there are also other things going on too that should be considered. How come in all these different groups you don't have a psychologist in there, a statistician, sociologists, all these other things? And Astral and I have had these discussions before about corroborated scientific data, multi-sensor, from different sources, like two groups of the Tedesco brothers at one hotspot, independent groups with multi-sensor, a bunch of different stuff. That brings the caliber of the evidence to a much higher level. And then there's other things, though, that we have to acknowledge we don't thoroughly understand. A great scientific study was done in Hessdalen, I think it's Norway, where they have these Hessdalen lights that have been going on for many centuries. And they brought in university and all sorts of sensors and scientific data and got great video footage and spectrometry of this stuff that showed scandium and other things. And that's the kind of stuff you would want. But you would think that the government would have a tremendous amount of data that they're not releasing to the public for kind of understandable reasons.
I mean, those are good points. Those are good points, for sure. But I just, not trying to push back. I'm just saying some of the problem can be, let's say you go out in Skywatch, right? And you're like, we're going to collect data. Okay. But what will happen is people will, quote, be in CE5 mode or psionics mode for 2 hours. And then anything that moves in the sky, they attribute under that umbrella. Does that make sense? And that's what kind of becomes the issue. And you're trying to, when you said the guitar analogy, which gets brought up a lot. I've heard that a lot about remote viewing and other things. But here's the pushback I would give on that. Anyone can pick up a guitar and hit the strings. Doesn't mean they're notes, but anyone can actually play a guitar. Doesn't mean they can play it well. But I think the idea is that not everyone can remote view. It takes a special person. I just don't see that to be the case.
That's if I can comment on the guitar analogy too, like a virtuoso in almost anything is going to get acknowledged. right? There's going to be proof of it, whether it be someone in a online game. Guitarists get shown, get talked about. Eric Clapton and everybody, they went and saw Jimi Hendrix live. It was a legend for a while. Then the records get made and then the photos get taken. So there's all of this thing that we as a society and as a people, it's common knowledge what ascends into factual, data and what's actual history. Why has this topic, if there are virtuosos that are consistent, why is it a topic that would be so popular, right? Like people would be very interested in this. Why aren't those virtuosos talked about in the same way? Why don't we have those concerts, those records? Why don't we have irrefutable proof that they did these things? And why isn't it on the forefront? Because that would be like all that data, like all this Princeton stuff. I want to see, not that I want to see it so I can dispute it, but I mean, I'd like to see that stuff talked about more if indeed it does confirm, all this stuff, because the examples that like Jake Barber gave and others, like those don't hold any water. Those are hard to kind of like materialize, right? But if the data exists, if the paperwork exists, if all that stuff is out there and it proves that we have these people that can do these things, why is their information so sparse? And why are we so quick to say like, oh, the government's keeping it on the hush hush?
Well,
I had somebody tell me, Alien, take it over real quick, just 2 seconds. I did have somebody tell me, who was giving me, quote, Jedi training in the documentary. Very nice woman, by the way. But she did tell me that they run this center there in Sedona, where I shot part of it, that like, oh, we got people that can levitate. I'm just thinking, okay, where's that footage? Where's that video? Come out with that. That'll prove all kinds of shit, right? Why? I'm kind of with Tupa. Like, there are some great studies, but there's also the opposite of like these huge claims that people aren't proving to the world, right? It would just prove it all. But Alien.
Dude, it'd be like if there was no recording of Jimi Hendrix, we only had other people's word to go off of. And he would never perform in front of anyone. Like, you know what I mean? That would be a tough sell. Like, okay, he's the best ever, but why?
Bro, you know what?
Where's the record?
You know what? One of the first things I was really wondering when I got really into the psychic stuff of the scientifics, I was wondering, what would it take to actually prove it, And I think that it's the difference between chance, the difference between what was expected and what you're actually psychically able to show through data over time. And there aren't a lot of people. Basically what ESP was and the whole parapsychology field was trying to show was the challenge was what is scientifically the challenge, how to prove psychic is even able to be tested at all, something that would be like psychically tested. And so over time you were able to see, like they were able to show, and it's through like thousands of fucking trials. That's the thing that I think people are getting misunderstood here, is that nobody's gonna show up and just do this fucking remote viewing trial and get it exactly right and be like, I'm a psychic, this is proven right. You have to do it over thousands of trials to show that the difference between chance and what is expected is scientifically like a distance enough to say, oh, okay, like they're using some sort of ability to get this result different from what they should be getting, to where there's something going on here, and they're using some sort of psychic ability to get the information more so than they would just normally if they were just fucking guessing. And that is the basis for entire psychic testing, is you have to show through over thousands of fucking trials that you have this ability. It's not like one thing, like somebody's gonna show up and do this whole fucking demonstration where it's gonna show everybody that the world that this is real. You have to show it over time.
Also under scientific scrutiny. It's not just the number of it, it's the rigor of the scientific scrutiny. There are great cases, and I highly recommend the documentary Third Eye Spies by Lance Munguia, which interviews many of the people involved in SRI, the cases, the evidence, the outcomes. There are people, you know, like Ingo Swann is such a great example, who affected calorimeters at New York University under very scientific protocols, and did absolutely incredible work with, you know, SRI. And even then, it's not a flawless thing. And I think so few people are deeply trained in this stuff. I think the evidence is out there. It's been out there. Studies on random number generators used to be machines, have been done for over 100 years. And true random event generators have been done more recently. And I think some of the best practitioners seek out science, and like Ingo Swann did, Pat Price and others, but everyone can do it. So I disagree with Vetted that, you know, everyone can do this skill. That's one of the premises of it. Some are going to be better than others, and when you work on it, it's better, but it's not flawless like any of our senses. So, you know, my experience has been pretty deep down this rabbit hole for a long time. So maybe I'm biased, but I've had a lot of, you know, deep experiences in this topic, and with, you know, different groups and researchers. So, you know, I just have a different opinion, but people have to experience the extraordinary to believe it, and that's reasonable. So it needs high caliber evidence. So, you know, I agree with you guys in most parts.
Shit, I agree with that. I got robbed in a dream, and then I had the experience 3 days later. So that kick started things for me. UFO intros, what's up? And then we'll go to VC Smart.
I think VC was first. I guess just real quick, I think there is a lot of evidence. I agree with Buddy, Alien Protocols. There's no proof though. And honestly, I don't think I know this sounds crazy. I don't think the phenomena will, it's not going to give us smoking gun proof until it wants us to have it. I know that sounds crazy.
Hey, it's been a long time, Astral, since been in one of your spaces, over a year. But anyway, yeah, I was really enjoying the conversations between all the people in here, and I just want to stand by UFO intros on the Leos, and also experience. I was surprised. I was really surprised by his comments. He said he invented the give a fuck scale. So there we go, man. Yeah, okay, you hit the bullseyes there. And Vetted, yeah, excellent. You went all around the country. And the one thing that I was surprised at, the one that was saying that they were manifesting that themselves. I'm just curious if anybody got along the ideas of Carl Jung and, you know, co-creation, and like it's a symbiotic relationship. So you can't have one without the other. There's a stimulus. What's the stimulus, right? It could just, you know, 99% be prosaic, or some natural phenomena 1% of the time that we don't understand yet, and not have anything to do with NHI. But something stimulated it, and then we interpreted it through this collective unconscious, this overlapping structured lens that we all are forced to view through, it's our belief system, right? So we're creating this together, and with one can't really go without the other. And that's why everybody's are unique experiences too, because they have a different brain, a different set of beliefs, you know, all that kind of different experiences. So I guess, you know, that's how I interpret what's been saying. I just say that would be the one thing, like if you were talking to people out there in the field, you know, present that idea and see how people might think about that. Anyway, that's it.
Yo, VC DeGrasse Tyson.
Nice.
Oh, you got to remember, I'm a orb people person. I'm part of the orb people. Okay, so, you know, don't ever forget it. And yeah, anyway.
So VC, I want to ask you, like, because I know you're going on a lot.
They got you. They got Kimball.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
A Leo just cracked Kimball.
Can you hear me or not?
Now, yeah.
Yes, now.
Okay, no, so there's like the famous, was it Billy Mays, that poster, I Want to Believe? When you go out and you want to believe that you're going to find UFOs, you know, you're going to see shit. I guarantee you guys, there's so much more going on up in the sky than people realize. you're going to see something that doesn't look like an airplane, right? I've done it myself. Like one of the first spaces I spoke in was Chupacabra, and I fucking, I filmed the Chinese lantern, and it took me 7 months to like figure out that's what it was. It's a long story, but basically, like, if you go out and you want to believe, you're gonna see shit, and you're gonna believe it's a UFO. And then I guess the real test is like when you debunk yourself, or when someone comes along right after you posted your video on Twitter or YouTube or whatever, and they explain what it is. How are you gonna deal with that? Are you actually are you gonna be open to that? Because if you're really looking for the truth, you should be. And I think we should be celebrating when things get debunked, because that is like that. There's a prosaic baseline that we all need to understand if we're really going to find the truly anomalous,
Yeah, that's important work, C. Kimball, and that's the way you need to present this logic. Because if you don't eliminate the prosaic, then all you're doing is spinning up people on bullshit, and it will be debunked time and time after time. So if there really is something there, at some point, nobody's going to believe it, right? Because everything else was debunked. That was just prosaic, and that keeps getting presented. So yeah, you serve a really important role, and that's an important thing for people that believe to really understand, and should be motivated highly to investigate and debunk. That's part of science progression. Nothing, if you try to debunk your theory, you try to disprove it. That's how science works, and that's how it changes all the time. We learn more and more because something was debunked or found out to be inaccurate, and new ways of testing. You got to just apply it to the same thing with this, so, and I think the orbs is relatively easy to do. There's a lot. Anyway, that's just my comment.
Super, did they really steal your fucking alien pictures?
Yeah, 100%. I made all of it. Not only the pictures, but I made like the graphic with like the text that says Nordic and all that stuff. The little size comparison and stuff. I worked hard on those.
Bro, that clip is hilarious. I was dying.
Yeah, let it ride, dude. It's what an amazing thing, right? It's good for the community only because we have like this inside joke, like, okay, our shit's making it onto fucking these random podcasts, but it was Panda that gave it new life. It was a good timing thing. Gonna get this stuff reposted, but whatever, dude. I think it's hilarious.
It's just funny listening to those guys trying to talk about this shit.
And then they use our graphics.
Who do you believe? Who do you believe more? Hal Puthoff or Eric Davis?
Eric Davis. Eric Davis is funnier. Hal Puthoff is just getting to this weird stage. Does anyone remember when like Ron James, I think it was Ron James, when he was like, I think I've heard that there was a photo of Dan Farah and Hal Puthoff from when like Dan Farah was like a little kid.
I remember that. Space. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
he did say that. I remember that.
Astral posted that picture. He said, "Disclosure, Daddy." It's fucking hilarious.
That's just hate. That's Astral hating, though. There's a difference.
No, disclosure, Dad, bro.
Yeah.
More like enemy of disclosure.
Posted a picture in reply to the space of Hal Puthoff with VP of Lockheed Martin, James Ryder.
It's in the nest or in the pill?
But for some reason, my app's not letting me post it to the nest. It's just in the replies.
Okay.
It's a real picture, Android?
It's from, I just Googled Hal Puthoff and James Ryder and scrolled through Google Images and it came up. It was on somebody's blog post where they did some deep research into James Ryder. It was pretty interesting. But I couldn't find it's weird. It showed on Google, but it didn't show in the article.
I threw it up in the nest. Is that what you're talking about?
Thank you.
Who are the rest of these dudes?
Let's see. It's not refreshing. Yeah, I don't know. It has their names above their head.
Yo, I'm about to post this Hal Puthoff shot. He's like playing ping pong and it's like when you got the finishing fucking shot on somebody, and it's like winning point. Like, I'm about to post it. Hold up.
I ain't gonna lie, it is exciting seeing some movement like happening from official channels, right? Coming from the government, seeing some shit be released, even if it is like meh, right? It's
Over
still,
under what we get a drop tomorrow, Desmond. What do you think?
You gonna put that on me? I don't know, man. I didn't know that they had already put placeholders out on their website, so someone's doing something for it. That puts it up to like over 50% for me. I would say we're in the 70% range at least right now.
Where's Grider? Grider, put 5 cents in the poly market for me tomorrow.
You would think that some podcasters would have already come out with it. Didn't that happen last time? Like, you know, people, their sources, right?
No, it was Luna. It was Luna that said 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Well, but the day before, yeah, I made a video about it. I remember Corbell saying it too, like 1 or 2 days before, or maybe it could have been the day before. And I saw a couple other podcasters, you know, according to their sources, that it was coming out the next day. So I would just think that the same thing would happen. Like we'd get news that it was coming out the next day. But yeah, you're right. I have no fucking clue. Because I've heard 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and a month.
We got 26 videos on last drop. So whenever this drop happens, do we get the whole 46? Do we get a portion of it? What do you
get? NASA disclosure experience. You're going to get it all.
It's supposed to be over 50. So
over 50 videos?
Yeah, I think Burleson said 52 or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
How was this up on what was the scale? The fucked up scale? I forget what it was. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about
So,
scale.
what do y'all think about disclosures or with fucking Burleson's backpedaling on being a believer versus not or whatever, right? Like,
I'm kind of with him. Like, until I have absolute definitive proof, I'm gonna be right where he is probably. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
But just a couple
what we
weeks ago,
doing?
something had changed in that man's tune to where he was like, no, I know this is some shit going on. And then now he's like, I'm skeptical. I don't necessarily know that there's something.
I think there's a distinction to be made between the fuckery that's going on, the slight cover up of things like that. All that is happening. But as far as like definitive proof, he probably hasn't seen anything that's probably like made him say, yeah, this is for real. You know?
That
but
being
I think
the
the
man
fuckery
that
that's happening
Grush
is
worked
just
for.
happening.
You know what I mean? Grush worked for him, and he's saying those things. I don't know, man. It's just weird. It's weird to me. Maybe it was because he was on Fox News. He didn't want to
blame UAP Gerb.
Yeah, it's fucking UAP Gerb's fault.
I'll make a premonition prediction. You know, I'm foreseeing this. I'm just telling you, I possess ESP right now, and I'm going to be 100% right. This is, you know, and here, this is the government is not going to release anything close up, anything identifiable as ET alien, no craft up close. And, you know, and this is always going to be this way forever and ever, because if it involves anything related to national security, you don't get it. And so they're just going to play this game over and over because, you know, they have to protect all those assets. So you're just, well, you're part of the theater, the entertainment and all that. But I guarantee you I'll be right every time on that.
Put them down, Grider, $5. Put a $5 down for VC in the poly market.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah.
A $5.
So that's a no for disclosure tomorrow, right? Just to confirm.
Well, they're disclosing. They're just not going to disclose anything you want, right? I mean, as far as just proof of anything, I guess because it's just always national security. I mean, what would you expect? I mean, you think they're going to violate their, you know, put at risk their platforms and show that?
Nah, man, they're going to show a UFO flying next to a B-2 bomber with the aliens in the windows. They already said it. That's what's coming, yo. They've thrown it out there, right?
Science Bob told us.
Yeah, come on now. This shit's supposed to be in the fucking mix, right? That's what they're saying.
If I don't get a fucking alien UFO pulling up to a B-52 and saying what's up with a backwards cap,
straight
it's
peace
not
sign
worth
throwing.
I promise you, I'm 100% right on this too. I can promise you this idea's been stolen from decades ago from a guy named Ray Stanford, if anybody knows about him. He's claimed for decades, probably since the 1960s or whatever, but anyway, he started that up at some point, that he is a photograph of an alien in a craft, right, flying right next. I guess he was on an airliner or something, flying, and he's claimed he's had this picture of the alien in a craft, well, now for decades. So there's one for you. And, you know, he's actually connected to, what's the hell of that institute now out in the Goddard Space Center near Washington, D.C. or something. I mean, he was interconnected with the government on some level, but he's the famous UFO investigator with Socorro and all that. So there you go. And he's claimed that not too long ago. I mean, while he was still out talking recent, and he's very, he may not even be alive right now. I haven't checked, but yeah. So apparently there are, if you want to believe Ray, he has that photo.
So I do stand corrected on something I was asking about yesterday. Apparently there have been some reported crashes with other kind of bodies other than grays. Supposedly a Nordic body, and then Meatface was saying some story about a reptilian body. Has anybody else heard of any other crashes where bodies are other than gray aliens?
Other than you right now, that's the first I've heard.
Well, I mean, is Varginha considered grays?
I kind of lumped them in there, but they could be considered reptilians too. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, bodies. That's interesting.
Because Putoff said in one of these interviews that the four body types related to crashes were those four. And I'm like, well, where the hell are the fucking Nordic bodies at? Where are the mantis bodies at?
Blitz took those mantis bodies out, man. Didn't he? He took them out. Ask Kreider about that.
Wasn't there a photo or video from those Peruvian face peelers where there was like a mantis looking thing on the roof one time and people were screaming? Did everybody see that video?
I don't think I've seen that video.
Yeah,
Find it, put it in the nest.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it.
Dude, if they do post a UFO flying next to B-52 with aliens throwing the peace sign out, I might shit myself. That would be disclosure for me. I'd be like, all right, that's it. That's all it takes.
Yeah, what kind of videos do you guys want to see? Besides craft, what would y'all want to see?
I guess it has to do with craft, but that rumored oil derrick video would be pretty interesting.
I'd like to see footage of whatever landed in Kecksburg. You know what I'm saying, right? They might not have footage of it landing and crashing or whatever, but them studying whatever they recovered, I would like to see some of that shit.
What about a recovery operation in progress? I'm assuming there would be video of something like this as well. Somebody's videoing, like securing a craft, putting on a flatbed, or attaching the harness, that kind of shit.
There's that famous Russian one, but I don't know if it's been debunked. I've seen some research on it that showed some really interesting stuff about it, but that Russian one's kind of funny.
I want to see video of that same shape that Kenneth Arnold saw in 47. You know, it's like the Batwing manta ray thing. One arc in front, 2 arcs in back.
Be cool if we could see video from that DOE thing Corbell was talking about, where it came out of the bay and hung for fucking 10 hours or whatever he said.
The flying triangle thing that he was saying, or pyramid or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, where's the videos at? I don't care how many gigs it is of these things hanging out for hours.
How about the rest of the video footage, the total footage, not just clips of these stuff being released, the total footage?
How about an autopsy video? Fuck it.
I mean, I'd like to see video of fuck crap. I mean, yes, it'd be cool, but bodies, right? Aliens, an interview, something that involves the beings that are crystal clear. You know, that just seems, you know, less variables for confusion of what it could be, right? That would be maybe multiple, maybe even some audio that explains their language. Something along those. I mean, if we're just talking ideally, like if I could ask a genie, that would be cool. A live stream.
What was it, the Kirkland Air Force Base? Didn't they? Where they had like the landing and the meet and greet.
Yeah,
I bet that shit. Let's see that video.
Is that Holloman?
Holloman. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It was Holloman.
Yeah, I brought that up yesterday.
I want to see that video.
Yeah, it's something with aliens, because craft is just too. I'm done asking for UFO videos. I'm kind of, after this tranche that came out, I want to see ETs. I want to see these bodies that they allegedly have, you know, alive, dead, something. And, you know what I mean? I'm more focused on the aliens.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like Corbell was hinting at something like that on that Vice interview. Like, there's other videos, he says, other than, like, military footage. So in my mind, I went straight to bodies. Like, all right, was there an autopsy? Is there a real interview video that's not the fucking bullshit one that's out there? Like, that kind of shit.
Bro, in the TMZ interview, he talks about autopsies or hints at it.
Yeah, he said autopsy reports. So that worries me a little bit, and thinking about it, because it's like, if it's just paperwork that talks, I mean, yes, that'd be cool, but physical evidence of the autopsy more than paperwork or reports. But yeah, absolutely. I'm with you guys.
I'm just speculating, like assuming they filmed one maybe or something.
Sure, you would think. I mean, that's, you know, you would think.
We'll get one. It'll just be a giant redacted black square. All you can see.
And everything's filmed nowadays, so any kind of like recent anything, there's definitely footage of that shit.
Would they film a recovery?
I would say, yeah, man. They've got cameras on their fucking helmets and shit now. It's like
little GoPro shit.
All these operations do nowadays, man, so that they can fucking display it in their situation room as it's going down.
But with AI, are we going to believe any great video? I mean, they literally almost have to wheel out a physical craft that's, you know, people can knock on. They don't have to reveal the power of propulsion systems, but a physical craft, a physical something is going to be, even then there's going to be, you know, conspiracies. But I think no video is going to be great, you know.
I think video with like corroborating witness and evidence behind it. Like, so let's say we get a video of the Holloman Air Force Base, and then you get, hey, I'm the dude in that video, and yeah, I saw that thing. I think that would do it for me. That would be enough for me. I'd be like, all right,
This is
that'd be a good start for sure. But he's not wrong about the AI and all that. Yeah, I agree. It depends where it comes from too. Is it just a random person on TikTok versus an official government release with more corroborating evidence, reports, witnesses? Yeah, I agree. That's a tough one.
Wouldn't they have radar data preserved from the Nimitz incident and some of these other incidents? That corroborative data that they should have, would really bring more credibility to it. But then on the other side, you would hope they would have done a bunch of studies and research about the impact of this on society and how to present it. To whip out bodies to the uninitiated might be a super freak out, I would hope that they would kind of condition and, reveal information in a kind of structured way.
Oh my gosh, just go watch the Men in Black from the 1990s, man. They've been giving you disclosure, Steven Spielberg, whatever. Everybody's been so deeply embedded with all these ideas. This is part of the belief system. This is why people are believing all this, is because of those things. So you've been disclosed what they presented, that they're just happy for you to believe all along for decades now. I mean, come on, just starting right from the 1950s, whatever. You got it.
So I'm gonna take a stab at it. Yo, what's up, everybody? Hope everyone's having a good evening. So I'm not just an experiencer. I've spoken to beings literally physically. I've had grays come up, all in skin tight black suits, the works. I mean, the only thing I really feel like I must kind of say right now is that if life is like in fractals, like a world within a world, it's basically like what we're seeing is as within, so without, as below, so above. So like, you guys want to see it, you guys are definitely going to see it, and you can see how more experiences are happening right now, and it's just because the energy's changing. Well, the only way I can relate that is just like as a body grows, the earth is also raising its vibration. So now with all these timelines, convergences, we're like getting to like the doomsday, or to that momentary where it's like it can't be held back anymore. You see like all these monks and shamans and everybody's coming out with all this information and sharing their deeply hidden knowledge. It's because it's no more holding it back. So I think that be careful what you wish for, because I mean, it's easier for beings in a physical plane to come to you than to the higher vibrational beings. You have to come to them, or you have to meet them at least at a certain point. And the only way to do that is the Trinity, mind, body, soul, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, is just raising your own vibration. So I feel I just needed to share that with the tribe.
That guy's trolling.
No, brother, I really am not. I've been doing this for over 20 years. My partner's Dan Winter. If you know who that is, he picked up where Nikola Tesla left off. Got ran out of fucking by the Bush administration. They even stole some of his tech. I mean, look at fractalfield.com, fractaluniversity.org. I've been doing this for over 20 years, brother.
Always welcome.
All love.
I don't mean to be rude, but I just don't believe any of that. Sorry. I'm not being rude, just being honest.
What do you, Patrick, what do you think of the Burleson thing when he was like, the guy, Jesse Winters was like, are you a believer? And he's like, no, I'm still a skeptic. I'm like, what the fuck, bro?
Honestly, I agree with what Experience said earlier, man, which is I'm with Burleson. I have a video coming out about that tomorrow. Yeah, I expressed that exact same thought of just Burleson feels like the most grounded to me of the Congress people looking into this. I appreciate that he's still remaining grounded with what he's moving forward with, right? He seems the most reasonable. He's saying, I'm still a skeptic. I'm a skeptic. I'm not a believer, but there are some interesting, compelling things, and I'm doing work to try to bring some of this out, and we can take a look at it. Seems the most reasonable to me. I mean, you got Luna talking about interdimensional beings and Burchett. This dude's freaked out over, big size value meal. Like, it's fine. I like them both, and they're both doing a great job, but Burleson seems the most grounded. So I thought that was a pretty you know what that was? That was a very relieving answer. Like, okay, dude, he hasn't gone off the deep end. Like, we got somebody grounded looking into this at that level. So yeah, I thought it was cool.
I think he takes a similar approach to what Eric Weinstein said on Joe Rogan today. He said, Eric Weinstein said, he's not convinced they're aliens, but he said there's definitely a lump under the carpet. There's something there. He just doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, well said. I thought Eric, I agree with that, right? Something's going on. And what Eric said, I agree with. What is that? It doesn't necessarily mean it's aliens or whatever. It could be a decoy, it could be this, it could be a mix of different answers, but to just deny that there isn't something going on or that there isn't some sort of special access program that is attached with UFOs, but doesn't necessarily mean aliens, right? It could be the study of different things, right? I agree with all that. I did worry me a little bit about the way he's been approached, and he essentially verified something that, him...
He got a call right after the podcast, he said, or something with Jesse Michaels, dude.
Yeah, with the Eric Davis one, which I thought was weird, giving the comments he made about Eric Davis in that interview afterwards in the post game, where he's like, that dude don't know shit. He doesn't have any firsthand knowledge, whatever. But essentially, Eric Weinstein is confirming that there was a movement to send propaganda into the UFO community and really the general public at large. Now, whether there's any truth to what the stuff they were asking Eric Weinstein, Sam Harris, Lex Friedman to talk about, he essentially admitted, right? They were asking me to disseminate information to my audience, and we were going to give you that information, right? But he's saying they weren't official channels, because later he says he got contacted officially for the first time. So there is a group behind the scenes trying to control, quote, disclosure and feed people information behind the scenes. And Sam Harris left it because they kept promising him all these meetings and we're going to show you this and that. And eventually, they were writing checks they couldn't cash, right? So
to clarify that real quick though, because I had to go back and listen to it too. I had thought that maybe he was talking about a previous call, and then that he just got contacted recently after the Eric Davis thing. So you saying that he got contacted after the interview, and Friedman and Harris got contacted again?
No.
Or was he referencing some older shit?
Yeah, the initial contact happened about 6 years ago, and it went to Sam Harris, Eric Weinstein. He revealed Lex Friedman, which that was kind of news. The story was always Sam Harris and Eric Weinstein and a few other people, but they weren't ever known. But that was 6 years ago. What he said, he got contacted again, just himself, Eric Weinstein, after the Eric Davis interview on Jesse Michaels.
Okay, yeah, all right.
All these people to me are just exactly what Jacques Vallée says. They're the control. They're just part of the control. That's the echo chamber that's created. Eric Weinstein had no experience with UFOs or anything. He's just gotten into it because it's a popular topic, and he likes to go into, people like to talk to him on YouTube and all this stuff. I'm sorry, but, that's just...
Well, what about Neil deGrasse Tyson? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's fascinating. It really is fascinating to think that people thinking that he's saying much different than what he said before. I don't think he's really saying very much different than what he said before. He's just wording it in sort of a more open-minded way or more, I don't know.
Thank you, VC, for saying that. That's what I'm saying. He hasn't changed his mind. He's been saying the same thing for a while.
Yeah, it's just a more UFO-friendly consumer format, right? But he still wants the proof and all this stuff. So, there's no change in his stance. He's just that he rewords it for social media. He is, seems to be a big part of his income and interest now. And I kind of like his comedy format with the science show, because that can be very boring for people. I really, I like it, so that I can listen to him now more. But yeah, that's it.
No, I
mean,
agree.
he is amazing.
Yeah, somebody referenced pop science, and they're like, yo, yeah, he's representing pop science with UFOs, and I'm like, what the fuck is pop science?
Truthfully, I feel like deGrasse Tyson, I mean, he is a Mason, openly. And I think that they laugh their fucking pussies off behind closed doors, thinking of whatever else they could say to make people go down whatever rabbit hole fucking they can think of. I don't feel any truth that he has good intention for the people. That's just my perspective. From a world's a ball to a pear. What else are you gonna think of? I mean, come on.
I mean, I think the most sound person that wrote a recent book on UFOs and aliens is The Little Book of Aliens by Brian Adams, I think is his name. And you can catch all his, he's done several YouTube, interviews with all the main people and everything. And because what is his background? He's a physicist, an astrophysicist. And then he went into astrobiology when he knew that was the coming thing over the next decades. So this is somebody with a science background who's looking for life out in outer space and everything. And he knows the difference between theoretical physics and experimental physics that's proven, or at least validating theories. And, he's just got the right outlook on the whole thing. And I think that's, if I had anybody to recommend, I'd go listen to what he has to say about ETs and UFOs. It's a very good, and there's some interesting ideas that he talks about. I think he did some calculations, like it's possible that we could have been visited by intelligent alien life. Like the ancient aliens ideas, it could be going back any number of years. But as far as finding evidence and stuff, he shows that if they left craft or evidence behind that, if it's very long ago, that'll all be just by erosion, just destroyed or buried or whatever. So he did something like that, and then he did it for the moon too. So because those are ideas that are still speculated that, maybe you could find some evidence on the moon that if they landed there, because it would last much longer there. And then there's the idea of satellites, just something left orbiting out there. But yeah, anyway, but it's an interesting, I just think he's got a solid footing with science. And he's looking for extraterrestrial life and any kind of life form, really. And he knows the science and the difficulties. Yeah, that's it.
Astral, you ready to enter the crossbreeding program? They're going to come kidnap you. You ready?
Ready for the hybrids. Hybrid program enabled. I love how Lou Elizondo's asked about the hybrid program and under oath and doesn't know shit about it. And then Julian Michaels asks him for an hour and acts like the fucking end of the world is going on, like a zombie apocalypse from what Elizondo's saying. Like I don't know, like maybe Eisenhower and us made alien deals with the hybrid breeding programs. I don't know the answer, Julian.
She has a look on her face for like 45 minutes of that podcast. They're just like, someone just told her a dog died or something.
Meanwhile, she's like, I can't handle this.
This comes from a guy that, showed alien craft from irrigation circles and, areas as a UFO and lampshades as UFOs. So, I mean, why would anybody listen to Elizondo about anything if that, after he's been talking about this for years and then he does this? I mean, come on.
I mean, he straight up lied in the hearing, essentially, because Lauren Boebert just asked if if people were familiar with that idea, with that theory, right? And he's like, no. What do you mean you're not familiar with it? She wasn't asking if it was true or not. She was just asking, are you familiar with it? He straight up denied it. And then again, brought it up in it's Jillian Michaels. But brought it up in the Jillian Michaels interview, which doesn't make any sense because he said he heard about all this in the Pentagon.
Of course, it makes sense if he doesn't want to perjure himself, right? Jillian Michaels is on the forum. He can go there and propagandize all he wants to. He can spit out whatever the fuck he wants, right? But when it comes when he's under oath, he ain't saying shit. That's why it was, you know, Pan and I were on this shit. Like we were watching him, and we were very curious about how he would, what his testimony would be, right? And they released the paperwork beforehand, what he was going to say, and it was so obvious what was happening. Like he refused basically to talk about anything important, and instead invoked 9/11 and like started, you know what I mean, just the weirdest stuff, dude. Like he made no definitive claims about anything, you know, that was even relevant to the thing. He just made these kind of like poetic gestures about it, right? Like secrecy and, you know, 100%. Security. Like, dude, that was so obvious, bro. Like,
why wouldn't he bring up his personal stories that he put in his book at the hearing, right? Why wouldn't he wow Congress with that? Hey, I had orbs in my house. You know what I mean? I sent an angel to, you know, whoever in Guantanamo Bay with my sack lunch in the conference room. You know, why wouldn't he say that stuff? Wouldn't that prove it? Wouldn't that prove there's this other non-human intelligence? Yeah, it was such a game, dude. It's just such a game with that guy.
I think,
but it's also too, he's a admitted disinformation counterintelligence agent. I mean, you got to take that. It's like Doty coming back into our community with all these wild stories and stuff. You have to take that into consideration as well.
I don't know. I think shame on the people who still platform him and don't press him on the things and let it get a pass so that they can get more clicks and views. Like,
I don't think those people know about it, dude. Like, I don't think Jillian Michaels
it's too far past that. Like, he's being brought back on by like Chris fucking Kumos, you know, as like the UFO guy still. And shit.
But Chris Cuomo is like a known propagandist. Busted, can't be trusted. Most common people know that. But when you look at people like Chris Ramsey, Jesse Michaels, it's like, dude, this guy was glowing during all of those. Like all of the, like he had already kind of like, I think in one of the most recent ones is Chris Ramsey, right?
Coulthard had
no. He hasn't been on Chris Ramsey. He's only went on one time, and Chris Ramsey has made several comments about him on his own show. Like, not really. I don't want to speak for Chris Ramsey, but it sounded like you didn't really trust him anymore.
Yeah, but you still got those fucking clicks, bro.
Yeah, I get it.
You still got that. You know what I mean? Yeah, you still got them, and that's the thing. Like, you bring a guy like that on who's glowing, and you don't press him, right? And then you're just gonna like let him propagandize your audience for the clicks. It's like, dude, that's the kind of shit that gives this guy clout, that allows people to believe his bullshit. And it's like, dude, the flags are raised. The guy's obviously a liar. He's presented bogus evidence. He's done all of the things that you have to do to be like, you're out of here. And to still bring him on your show, dude, it's just such a wild move.
I don't blame Chris. I think Chris is a good guy. To me, in my opinion, I think Chris is just letting people speak, and he lets them sort of, you know, sunlight's the best disinfectant. So sometimes having them on, and they, you know, when your enemy's defeating themselves, don't interrupt them, right? And he kind of, in my opinion, gave him a platform to sort of reveal himself to people. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, I see your point, but that's a tough one, man. I don't blame Chris for having him on.
I don't blame, I mean, it is what it is. You have a show, right? But when it comes down to like having kind of more knowledge of what's happening within the community, what this guy's done, and not like prefacing it, you know what I mean? Even on podcasts where they bring on controversial people, they'll press them, they'll bring the thing up, you know what I mean? They'll still be cordial, you know what I mean? But they'll bring it up. But I think with Lou being such a figure who is literally promoted by a false New York Times article that's never been corrected, that's his inception point into the community, followed up by many lies, his ties with very controversial people who were clearly running ops for him, right? Clearly screening things for him. His known connections to these harassers, like all this stuff is crazy on its own. But then you get into the fact that he to paying audiences in Mexico and all over America. He was presenting clearly fake, not only fake images, but he prepared fake stories to make those fake images look more real. And he lied about talking to soldiers. He lied about talking to pilots. He lied about the footage being certain footage that he had being real and authenticated. I mean, these are all the faux pas, man. Like, it's one of those things where it's like bringing on Richard Doty and not addressing his counterintelligence work.
But he's not going anywhere, Super. He's about to ramp up probably because he's got a book.
Bro, we about to get fucking season 2 for sure.
Who's got a book?
Lou's got another book.
He's got his second book coming out. Like, what is it? No, it's not imminent. It's fucking simminent.
It's called Irrelevant, and no one's gonna buy that shit, dude. We're
called Irrelevant.
It's called Irrelevant, bro. That's hilarious. Cooper was one of the early people to come out and show how Lou was connected to people who were weaponized to attack the community. And Tuba was an early victim of that and one of the early voices. And I think that's super disturbing and information about Lou and very revealing about agendas.
Yeah, because it's not just that he was attached to these groups, like whatever, right? Maybe there's some fan club, whatever. The tactics that these groups hold were directly adopted or mimicking known intelligence tactics that as recently as, last week, Corbell went on to Chris Ramsey show and explained the exact same process. This is what they're doing. They're weaponizing at-risk people, which is exactly what we've seen. Go look it up. Search at-risk people on my profile. You'll find this. We've been sounding the alarm for 2-3 years. Like, they're finding people within our community who come in here and are earnest and are a little, maybe they're lost, maybe they're found, I don't know, but they're curious, and they come in here, and if they show signs of any kind of vulnerability or hatred towards any person that could be considered a target, then they get weaponized by people with intelligence backgrounds, and they get pushed over the edge. It happened to Christopher Gray, and he killed his own dad and sent that video to like everyone on the Jack Sarfati list. Corbell saw that. Chris Mellon saw that. I'm sure Elizondo saw that. And it's like, who was he involved with before? He was collecting hair for Bledsoe's. He was an intermediary. He was the UK version of what this harassment squad was over here. And he's directly connected to this whole Lou thing. It's like, dude, that's what I'm saying. It's not like this guy's kind of trouble. No, there's a real problem here. And if you're like getting money from the UFO community, right? If you're getting views, if you're getting clicks, if you're getting reposts, if you rely on the UFO community at large, why then buddy up with someone who's clearly putting them at risk?
Tupa, can you clip Christopher Gray? I'm not familiar. What can you clip note that story? What is that?
Christopher Gray was an individual in the UK who was involved with this like very tight-knit group that was insulating this like Lou Elizondo thing, early Lou crew. There are some people in the community, this is like years and years ago, maybe 2020, 2019, but like people like Deep Prasad, he's the one who came out and was like, listen, dude, like all the stuff that was happening to me through these other weird accounts that ended up being Jeremy Corbell's graphic designer and a personal friend of Lou Elizondo's, an individual who was literally targeting, harassing, buying bots. He got his account banned for buying bots specifically to inflate parody accounts or harassment accounts that he was using to harass people with. So this stuff was going on. I saw this around 2023, but there was a wave of this beforehand. And so what this group was doing, they were trying to create an in and an out circle for this kind of like this disclosure that we're seeing unfold today. And they were connected to Lou Elizondo, Chris Bledsoe, and they were part of a group who they admitted, literally in a book one of them wrote, and the foreword was written by Sean Cahill. I don't know if you guys know who Cahill is, but he's a close friend and business partner of Lou Elizondo. And this book is called basically it outlines how they were creating online armies to prepare the world for disclosure. And they were like, there was like end of the world kind of talk in there. This group kind of feels like there's something imminent coming, and Lou Elizondo's one of the heroes who's going to lead them out of this. So Christopher Gray is involved in this group. And what they would do, at least one of the things they were doing, was befriending people in a fake way to get intel on them. And when those people were deemed unuseful, when they were deemed maybe a risk a risk to this overall vision that was being dictated by the likes of Elizondo, then they were excommunicated using the insider information they had gained by pretending to be their friends. So it was very weird and insidious. Now, another layer to that is they were acting as this group in the UK, along with other people, they were acting as liaisons for Christopher Bledsoe. Maybe Chris knew that, maybe he didn't, but they were collecting hair from people who were like, who had like cancer or who wanted to get healed. And they were collecting hair and articles and stuff, and they were sending it over to Bledsoe. So all this activity is very strange and weird, and it forced these people to act like they were like double agents, but they weren't. Instead, what they were in reality were mentally, in some cases, mentally troubled people who were looking for a hobby and a leader and a brother and a dad and all these things, because they were like, maybe they were experiencers too. I'm not sure Christopher Gray's background. But by the time Christopher Gray became overwhelmed with this, by the time it became oversaturated with all these crazy things, he snapped. And he was on this thing about how the lady, which is a figure Bledsoe talks about and all of the Rosicrucians believe in, all these people believe in the lady, he had talked to her and the aliens were coming, and he stabbed his father to death. And while his father was dying on the ground, he turned his webcam on and started mumbling and gibberish to the camera about how the end is coming, yada, yada. And then he called his brother. It's a tragedy, dude. He called his brother and is like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I had to kind of like take care of dad for a second, and he's going to be fine. And he's like literally on the ground. You can't see him. He's off camera, but he's dying. And he did die. And by the end of this, Christopher Gray is in prison in the UK. And when this video he sent the video out before he was arrested to his group within the inner circle of ufology. That's how he had all their email addresses. And so when I got it, by the time I get into the mix, it's 2021, I think. And like people, when they mentioned it in like spaces or online, everyone would kind of like, no, they would treat it like it was a no-go zone. So it took a while to get any information about this case. But again, these guys are still kind of around. Jonathan Davies, there's a UK disclosure crew, again, that was doing what we saw this American crew doing by 2022, 2023. They were in full swing. And then even then, Panda's done a lot more research. This same group, with these satellite groups around Lou and around these disclosure bros, they've been out here doing this to people for a while. There were a lot more UFO content creators in 2021, and a lot of them got chased off. And there were these very public moments where they did get run off. And those public moments, who was at the center of them? Lou Elizondo. Lou Elizondo fed information to certain podcasters that was different, and also was an asshole to other podcasters who weren't towing the line. And in this weird, like, Breaking Bad, Walter White, kill all the prisoners at once, he did this weird thing. Someone was like, hey, Lou's kind of a dick. Then everyone turned on them. And then basically a lot of these accounts were like, they were siding with the critics of Lou. And at this time, this community was so tightly wrapped up in this hierarchy that like anyone who criticized Lou was just deemed a problematic person, and their entire platform disappeared. And Lou would, kind of like bless or knight other podcasters who were towing the line by popping in on their live stream, giving a little comment on their thing. And it was all these people who ended up by now, 2026, who were found out to have been attacking people online for Lou, looking up people's personal information, their father's information, their mother's information, all this stuff, everything you can get on someone, what their address is. And this happened in November, just this past November. One of Lou's good friends, this guy named Mike Disclosure, literally gave my address, my physical description, my mother's address, my brother's address, his physical description, where he works, where his wife works, and Panda's personal information to the same degree, if not worse. He had the amount of rooms in Panda's house. And this guy, Mike Disclosure, who's a known close friend of Lou Elizondo's, in a way to attack and silence us for talking about this very thing, he sent that information to someone who was online, losing their mind, having a manic episode, admitted that they had just been like 5150'd. They had just got out of basically being forcibly detained for mental troubles, and was talking shit about me and Panda. So this guy, Mike Disclosure, slid into his DMs exactly the way that Jeremy Corbell just described, to the T, exactly how Corbell described it would go down. You don't have to attack somebody. You just got to feed the information to someone who's unstable and who's troubled and who already kind of, let's say they hate the person. The exact same thing happened. This guy criticized me and Panda. So this other dude, Lou's friend, slid in and said, hey, the reason why Panda and Chupacabra are getting away with this is because no one's ever showed up at their door. Here's their address. I know that he said that because this person publicized the DMs, posted the DMs, the screenshots of them. I'm saying word for word, that's what happened. So exactly what Corbell has outlined as a way to get people killed. We have all the documentation that this occurred, again, from the source of Lou Elizondo being the main connector here, that this just happened to me and Panda for simply highlighting this.
Thanks for explaining all that. Jesus Christ.
It's kind of an old intelligence agency trick. And I've been in this business, of exploring and researching this stuff for, almost 50 years. And the same things were happening earlier, where the intelligence agencies have this policy of seeing people as tools, a bunch of different types of tools, and putting them in their little tool bag, and able to weaponize some people against other people. They like to be 1 or 2 steps removed at least. And it's a very well-known, tactic. And they don't have to be weaponized or compromised by money. They can be compromised just by access. Perceived access, perceived, ingratiation, connections. These things can really, make people do extraordinary things. I've got some very wild stories on this topic specifically, and people involved before social media. It's very kind of.
And buddy, how easy is it now to be able to identify something? Like if you were an agent and you needed to find someone who was at risk, who was unstable, and who hated X or Y, right? It's so easy now. People are pouring their entire subconsciouses out through posts and through whatever. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. This community here is kind of a hub for a lot of things, mainstream for sure, but also it's built on people coming in because they're experiencers, they're believers, and they're having a hard time. We all know that one of the most common, I hope we all know this, one of the most common connections between people who are seeing something or have recently seen something is trauma. A lot of times trauma is tied right in there. So you're in a very vulnerable place. Your entire world has been shaken up by maybe something personal. And then you have ontological shock because reality's bending and you're seeing something. That's a very vulnerable place. And to know that there's people coming in looking for those individuals so that they can then put a little tag on their name. And when they become useful, or if they show a certain tactic or trait, then they can be weaponized against our own community. Like that's something that sounds like spy shit. It sounds too conspiratorial, but I'm telling you, we've documented this. We've documented it like to a legal degree. It's happening. We all have stories. We've all seen it to some degree. Maybe we all haven't been targeted, but we've seen it. I hope everyone here has seen the Jonathan Seamus and Mike Disclosure DMs. Those are insane. That's a soft hit. I've never seen that on the streets. Someone trying to do a soft hit. You know what I mean? Like that's such a weird push, and it's so clear and so obvious that it's like, I wonder why Jeremy Corbell's trying to get ahead of it or bringing it up at this point, because it's a tactic that his employees have utilized, his friends have used against this community. That's crazy. It's crazy for him to go on to Chris Ramsey and talk about it when he knows that his graphic designer was heavily involved in targeting people in this community. An individual who had brain cancer, who was about to go under the knife, was targeted by his graphic designer because this guy criticized Jeremy Corbell. So then Jeremy Corbell, graphic designer, goes and takes it upon himself to harass this guy publicly by creating fake accounts and buying bots and trying to drive this guy insane, trying to drive him to not want to be around simply because he said a couple criticisms about Corbell. That really happened. And it's not a conspiracy that he's Jeremy Corbell's graphic designer either. Jeremy Corbell, after this guy got his account banned for buying bots, which is illegal, I mean, or at least it's against the rules here. After that, 2 weeks later, he magically got his account reinstated. According to some insiders, it's because he has an in-law that works pretty high up in Twitter. I don't know. But Corbell took it upon himself to take 5 minutes out of his show, Weaponized, to dedicate to honoring this person, his graphic designer, who is a good guy and just making jokes, you know? But he got his account back on and they welcomed, they were happy. They celebrated his account being turned back on Weaponized. And this is the same person who goes to Busch Gardens with Lou Elizondo. It's the same person who was orchestrating harassment after harassment after harassment of so many of us over the last 4 years. This is not just some this guy knows him a little bit. No, he fucking works with them. He pays him. Isn't that a little weird? Why is anyone pressing these guys on this information, you know? Why does it never come up? I personally wouldn't want to be platforming somebody who's involved in anything like this, especially if I'm using the UFO community as the wings beneath, or the wind beneath my wings. You know what I'm saying? If I'm using y'all, I don't think that putting everyone at risk is the best move, or controlling you guys like you're some kind of pawn, or just, you know what I mean? That's such a fucking weird, patronizing thing. It's so weird, but people should be pressing these people on this, man. Otherwise, this shit keeps going on and on.
I don't want to sound like a fucking broken record. I just don't care enough about the personalities in this field to be personally offended by anything these fucking people do. I understand people do have the gripe that they have towards all these people, though. And I understand that part of it, but I can't put Elizondo or Nolan or Putoff or anybody on a pedestal, because it just removes the objectivity out of all this shit. I just care about the information that's being presented. The personalities and who's running what, who's popular, I don't give a shit. But I hear what you're saying, though. You know, I've seen what you went through, so I understand where that's coming from.
You gotta understand, dude, Elizondo and Corbell are not low on the totem pole of how the public will start to interpret what this is. If you have individuals who are capable of doing that stuff out there, dictating what this is for the public, and you don't think there's some issue with that, or you're not concerned at all, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, to me, I don't really care what the public thinks. That's me. People make their decision and have their own discernment on how they digest things. I can't tell them who to like or when to like them, or this person's a liar. I don't fucking know. It's not my place.
It's not about who to like and who not to like. It's about knowing that we have known liars who are disinformation agents out there dictating what this is to the public through these media sources. That's a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah, but all these people are lying, though, on some level. Politicians, everybody that's loving Burleson and Burchett and all these people.
No,
all these people are not 100% telling the truth.
Because, people need to get votes. I agree with that, right? They need to get votes. People are going to lie. Politicians are going to say what they need to say to the people, right? But we're talking about potentially the most important, not only scientific, philosophical, any topic. This would be the most important discovery, and these first couple years, this first decade is going to be very important in outlining what this is, and the way that this starts to enter in, things like legislation or things like industry. Those might depend on votes. And if the public has been lied to about what this is and how this is by people we've sat there and watched lie and go, well, we don't really care. And then we get 5-6 years down the road and it's time to vote on, do we want to do this? Are we giving these torturers amnesty? What's going on? And the public has been swayed. We might find ourselves in a problem where we had the answers the whole time and we watched everything led astray. Now, I'm not saying it's our responsibility to help that process or whatever, but I mean, it is short-sighted not to consider the fact that if we knew there was known liars in the scientific community who were absolutely full of shit, who were going out there telling their scientific stories, and it turns out that they're all lies, it's built on myth, and that could lead to so many things that are wrong, and it's things like that. That's exactly what has happened in a lot of cases. So this is like such a scientific discovery stuff as well, that I think having liars in the mix that are counter intel agents that are proven to be either ill-informed or purposefully misinforming us, I think that's a danger, dude, considering all the implications of what UFOs and aliens mean to the world and to life on the world, dude. Like, it's not just some small thing, you know what I mean? So
I agree. Look, to the point, I definitely agree to a point. To me, like, everyone's kind of on their own journey with this thing. So the way I kind of approach things, especially just in life in general, not just UFO stuff, if there's something that I've experienced and I've come to a conclusion and I want to tell somebody that, I'm going to offer my perspective. It's up to them to decide what they want to do with that information, right? So all you can really do is call it out like you're doing. But nobody's gonna get forced to believe one way or another. They have to come to that conclusion on their own.
There are some other issues about morality and unconstitutional behavior, even things that are admitted by OSAP, the over 100 victims of close encounters that referred through the military to neurologists and doctors who had injuries from exposure to advanced and exotic systems, and even an ex-directorate of Central Intelligence Agency's Science and Technology Division, who's a neurologist, in a great article in the Silver Record, spoke about him, revealed incredible death rate, terrible health consequences, and revealed MRIs. What about Jake Barber running in a self-admittedly a private company's internal army doing things against other Americans? Some of this stuff crosses into some pretty dark, unconstitutional behavior that's under the auspices of national security. And, what's done in the dark is usually dark shit.
Dude, that's a good point, dude. That Jacob Barber shit, he almost soft admitted to human trafficking for the goal of finding psionic assets, which sounds absolutely insane. But if you have somebody misinforming the public and seeding lies to the media to make people believe that things are supposed to be one way or really one way, we might find people really forgiving, some of the weirder aspects of this, which is like, I've posted about this before. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but a lot of this amnesty stuff, because there's so many connections between MK Ultra and the Stargate program and ufology and how it seems like they're trying to give amnesty to the people who invented the technology behind Havana syndrome and shit, and like all these weird tortures, because that's the same data. So like, who are they going to give amnesty to, and why are the people who are the loudest about it Hal Puthoff's friends? Isn't that weird?
Yeah, the amnesty thing is interesting to me because in my mind, I'm like, you can't give amnesty to anybody that's been behind anybody getting harmed or murdered or anything like that. Like, there's just no way. Them people need to face justice. The only amnesty I can think of is like some money shit or some government contractor that didn't have anything, aligned with any of the psyoping shit that's been happening that just wants to come forward.
That's what they're hinting at. But these are wizards with words, dude. This is how they work. I'm telling you, something is wrong here. They're definitely trying to get amnesty for the people behind MK Ultra and the people who have been creating and helping develop the Havana syndrome machines. All that shit's the same. And like, they're hinting that it's UFO truth. These guys can't say anything because they're bound, and now they're gonna spread that blanket over everything. The stuff that Lou admitted to doing in Guantanamo Bay, the fact that like he and Dan Farah are like amnesty, and Hal Puthoff is admittedly their dad, like in some way or form. Like, it's a little on the nose. And like, they don't even want to talk about MK. They're not trying to talk about that. But if you listen to people like Gary Nolan over the last 4 years, it's like, that's exactly what the fuck they're talking about, dude. Why do you think him and Kit Green were handed 100 or so brain scans and told to find the difference of them? And what they found out was one group was psychic and experiencing UFOs and UFO phenomenon, and the other group was experiencing what? Brain damage from Havana syndrome.
And not only that, and that's such a pivotal point that is not, accessed and researched enough. These people, the over 100 victims referred by the military to Kit and Gary and others, had a vast range of very serious medical conditions. And they were described as scientists, engineers, and special forces operatives. And in that Silver Record article, Kit Green said that he thought this was exotic human technology. So think about this. It's worse than almost Tuskegee Airmen, where, black projects and advanced exotic systems and companies are allowing some of our best and brightest to be negligently exposed to very dangerous conditions. And those families are completely silent. The victims are completely silent. It's not a bullshit story that happened to those people. It happened. Why are they all silent, and why isn't that more investigated?
That's a good question.
Well, if somebody could give me some space here, because I don't talk that much anymore, you got to admit, I can make an important point here where we have a witness that's been in the community that, where we have proof in the sense if you believe their word, and they seem 100% believable. And this is through a corporate person that's interested in the paranormal, that's a billionaire, that's had his Skinwalker Ranch and his aerospace company, and out there he hired people with national security clearances and stuff to do stuff out at Skinwalker and also at the aerospace headquarters, doing all these different experiments. And this is inappropriate of Nolan. This traces back to Nolan too, is that while he worked there, he had certain experiences. He also found a whole bunch of PSYOP operation, basically, with the people that are, in the entertainment part of it, that are off the property watching it. They would run ops on this to get witnesses to believe things were happening there that were not. And that was with more than one person. But the other thing that happened while they were there is that because they were brought into places like the aerospace headquarters in Las Vegas and made to sit in a room overnight as part of remote viewing ideas, but who knows what was happening. He did say that there was a big pile of uranium in that building piled up in a corner. I don't know why. I guess they dug it up and couldn't dispose of it properly. But anyway, the point is that at some point, one of the, primary personalities that are all in this mix, everybody knows the name, I can't remember right offhand, but they took him, came just down to the ranch. It's one of the scientists from Bigelow's thing, doing the experiments there, and picked him up and then took him, to a place to get brain scans done on him. And then he really wasn't told much information about it, but that they would offer that and tell him if there was anything, abnormal, but they didn't tell him anything about him signing away his rights to then send that for other research. And it ended up in Gary Nolan's hands, right? And whatever they evaluated, but they never told him, and it never came back. So, that really was upsetting to him, because that's, violation of his NDAs, or, you get protections with medical records and stuff. And, and they were using it for the Soul Foundation, whatever purpose they want. But then anyway, that really upset him. He went down to the DC and all that. This is somebody very high, extremely high security clearances. Anybody in here in the know knows exactly who I'm talking about. And if you don't, you could probably, I think, if it hadn't been removed, made unavailable, I think I have an interview with him on my timeline. But anyway, so yeah, this is very real, and it happens, and in these time frames. And then we got two unwell people. One has recently passed away, I guess last fall, and another personality that just spun out here in the last few days that thinks he's being murdered by energy microwave weapons, and was alleging that his girlfriend, and by that I don't mean romantic, but longtime friend, was also hit by the microwave, and their skin's peeling and all this stuff. But people are spun up and they're mentally unwell. And then when people try to go check his story out, I was able to ask, because I was in this space where this happened over 2 hours. And then after he left and all that, this other person, people were trying to follow up. And I found out, well, I can say his first name in here, Gene. He's that connection to the intelligence agency. He was talking in here earlier. I asked him. And